Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the NRG Series Championship. I am Matt Bamonte. I'm going to tell you, I'm hanging out over in the feature match area, and it is super tense over there. We can hear keyboards clicking, mouses clicking, pens dropping, you name it, we can hear it. It's super tense over there for our top four match, and we're getting ready to get started on the finals match here. But I wanted to go ahead and just express my gratitude, obviously, to the players who made our tournament series a success this year. And I wanted to bring up those 16 players, all who qualified for our end of the year championship. So again, we'll get them all on the screen here one more time. Big thanks again, Max Kamenowski, Derek Davis, Adam Wasburn-Moses, our MVP, Connor Mullally, Nicole Dubin, Ivan Espinosa, Zach Allen, Zoe Riederman. And then we're going to have our finalists are actually going to both come from Pod B, which I know there was a lot of talk about how strong Pod B was in the beginning, and that how it was going to be tough for people to make it out. But one of our finalists from Pod B is Jesse Robkin. The other is going to be Raja Sulaiman. And congrats again to Piper Powell, Joseph Bernal, Will Kruger, Andrew Ellenbogen, Theo Jung, and Mac Endress. All had amazing years here on our tournament series. And I want to go ahead and bring up the tournament structure here, the prize pool, so you can see what these players played for this weekend and what they're still playing for here. So again, you can see 3rd through 16th has already been decided. Second place, so the loser of this finals match is going to walk away with $2,500. First place going to walk away with $5,000. And another thing that we've briefly touched on, they get an invite back to the championship, regardless of how many events they're going to play next year. I know Ivan Espinosa, obviously, again, was our defending champion, had that re-invite. Also had a pretty decent year on the series as well. But it's a nice burden to be lifted off you. You start off the year, you're coming back to the 2023 championship. So once again, congratulations to all of these players. Now those final 2 blanks. We're going to show you again the finalists for this event, Jesse Robkin and Raja Sulaiman. I know big favorites as far as the commentary team for picks. Joe and I, not necessarily. We did not necessarily pick these. I'm not going to say who we picked, but not necessarily our picks on the day. It sounds like also with our unique structure here, we're going to have the first format being played is going to be modern. So Jessie kind of staked her claim early in the year on these breach style decks, and she's bringing Teamer Breach, and Raja is no stranger to Bant Control, these more controlling strategies. Definitely really well versed. And with that, we're going to watch Teamer Breach versus Bant Control, but I'm going to send it back down to Joe and Drake. Once again, I just wanted to say thanks for the entire year. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here for the day. We'll see everybody in March, and I'm going to send it down to Joe and Drake to get us started here in our finals.
All right, thanks, Matt. And yeah, here I am again with Drake Sasser. The players aren't quite ready yet, but we've got 2 formats coming up for the finals. We got Modern and Pioneer. Raja is the higher overall seed, has the first choice. He says, we're going to play Modern when I have the choice of priority in match 1. So it's Bant Control versus Teamer Breach. Since we have a few minutes, I guess, let's go ahead and put the deck lists up so you can see what we're going to be featuring here. Bant Control and Modern, able to answer pretty much everything. No sweepers. And unusually for a control deck, I would say, Drake, no dress downs either.
There's 2 dress downs.
Oh, there are 2 dress downs in the corner. You're right. I just, my eyes strayed. Missed.
Very good in the matchup. Yeah. Good call out.
Yeah. So basically it has everything covered. Creature removal important, but Jesse's deck able to win outside of combat. So you can see here, and then we'll look at Jesse's deck, the Teamer Breach deck that she worked on with Andrew Ellenbogen.
I think, like, as we transition here, I think the Broker's Charms are actually just like genius, right? They're basically for this matchup. If you think about the most important cards in the matchups, Underworld Breach, it's Urza Saga, you see those here. There's even copies of Fable of the Mirror Breaker, and Broker's Charm, a card that hasn't seen a ton of modern action to date, is a great answer to all 3 of those pieces.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can see here Jesse's Teamer Breach deck. So Jeskai Breach for most of the year, Teamer Breach for this event, adding Renin 6, adding in green mana for Haywire Might and some sideboard cards in place of Teferi. We'll see how it plays out. The players are ready. Let's go ahead and go down to the match. This is game number 1 of the finals. Raja picked Modern.
Game number 1, match number 1. Look at that trophy right there. It all comes down to this. I really can't stress enough. I mean, we're talking $2,500 secured for both players, but it is double your money time because winner gets $5,000, a re-invite back to the championship, and that sweet trophy you see in the middle there as players are resolving mulligans. There is a lot on the line, and it's not just one match of Magic. It could be up to 3 because it is first to 2 match wins, not game wins. So there's going to be plenty of opportunities to prove themselves. We saw Jessie in the semifinals, that top 4 absolutely steamroll her teammate for the event, Ellen Bogan, in the 150 card mirrors. And we will see if she can get it done one more time against Raja, who is, I'd say, the commentator's favorite. There's probably more people picking Raja, I think, than Jessie. But either way, Jessie has put on quite a performance so far today. She kicks it off with a Mishra's Bauble.
Yeah, out of our 7 staff picks, Raja was the only one to receive more than 1 vote. He got 3. But Jessie Robkin did receive Mason Clark's. She was Mason Clark's choice to win the event. And we see on the board here with Ragavan early. So regardless of the outcome of this match, Jessie will have choice of format for match number 2. So we'll just throw that out there right now so you know what's upcoming next. But obviously,
the start here has to be really good, right, for Jessie. Like, that one's going to get underneath Counterspell. And, of course, Raja has multiple removal spells for it. Things like Leyline Binding and Prismatic Ending that can take care of it. But if he doesn't have one of those, he's put to the test right now. If he doesn't have one of those, things can start to snowball very quickly with the powerful little one-drop Band and Legacy.
Right. I mean, Raja's not going to be blocking it with anything. So removing this thing is kind of crucial. This is, the ideal opening. I think for any deck that has Ragavan in it, you want it on turn 1. And we see that here. Maybe not the scam deck, but that's not in play here. So don't worry about that. Anyway. So so Ragavan turns on Mox.
There is that very important Prismatic Ending, a huge card for him to have.
But not this time. All right. Is there a backup? Is there a dash Ragavan to follow? Let's see. What does Jessie have in store for us? I mean, there's also Red and 6 available. There's all kinds of powerful early plays in this deck.
Right. And Jessie clearly has some kind of options, right? Like, she's doing a fair bit of thinking here. Maybe a Bauble among the mix. I think I see a Red and 6. Mm-hmm. That one got to be pretty attractive to get down before Counterspell mana is available. Maybe thinking about Bobbling first, but then maybe your fetch land's wasted. I'm not really sure. Oh, no, it's a Mox Amber instead.
All right. That's always nice when you have free additional mana early game, especially if you can drop Ren at 6 here and then still have a mana up. That's excellent for Jessie. Although I think there seems like Unholy Heat in hand, which are certainly not a priority in this matchup for creatures anyway. I guess picking up Planeswalkers is nice, but again, we'll see if
picking up Planeswalkers is huge. I mean, we've seen Raja flushed with Planeswalkers multiple times. I imagine Heats are going to do a good job taking care of those as Jessie does a quick fetch and shock. Have to imagine the Ren and 6 coming down here. Going to be a potential problem for Raja, as that card very well known for its ability to accrue card advantage via picking up lands. And if you can get to picking up sagas, then you're in a great spot. We saw that happen to great effect against her teammate in the semifinals.
Mm-hmm. All right, here is Ren and 6. It's in play. It picks up the Scalding Tarn, so Jessie is +1 card already, and does actually have mana for. There is another Ragavan, so the Mox Amber does make itself useful.
A huge turn for Jessie, being able to have that Mox Amber. I mean, literally functions as a, it's Mox Ruby / Mox Emerald, right? Able to immediately make mana with Red and 6 in play and cast Ragavan with Raja having to fetch yet another tap land just to kind of make Leyline Bindings and stuff work. Rafine's Tower, Spar's Headquarters, the 2 lands in play. I believe missing red, so Leyline Bindings will cost 2.
Yeah, well, 2 is not too bad of a price. The issue is, what do you remove? I mean, Archmage's Charm is a nice way to deal with Ragavan.
Take it. You don't need to remove anything. You can take it, but then of course Red can pick it off, and then you're really only removing a single loyalty. So maybe not the best approach. But if you play something like Teferi and pick up the Ragavan, it just gets dashed and kills it. So you have to maybe Teferi tick up. The options get kind of awkward here for Raja.
Yeah, they do, certainly. I mean, when you're the control deck, obviously you're not, you want to be able to defend yourself, but turn 2, turn 3 is not your ideal spot. Raja wants to get to turn 6, turn 10, and really take over the game, where his more expensive cards can limit Jessie's opportunities. Here, she's capable of casting basically her whole hand. Raja is still limited by his land drops, and determining whether he's got a castle. It is the castle. It's going to pass. Okay, so Archmage Charm at the ready.
But this Ragavan a real problem. I mean, if Jessie just goes to combat first, what do you do? Do you let the Ragavan through and then try to Archmage's Charm on instep so the Ren can't take it? Then you're letting a trigger through, and if a Planeswalker comes off the top, you're suddenly in a ton of trouble. Yeah, things can go really badly for Raja if he doesn't move in combat. But then again, moving in combat also doesn't feel that good.
Yeah, this is so dangerous. There are a lot of very unpleasant things that can flip over here. Solitude, that's okay. That doesn't matter too much.
If Teferi Time Raveler or something like that came off the top, that would be disastrous. Solitude, whatever, maybe slightly annoying. He would have liked to have drawn that to take care of the Ragavan, but not super interested. Now we'll see if Jesse has any follow-up. No Saga here has to be a good sign for Raja, but he already has his mana tied up for this turn cycle with answering just the Ragavan. So if Jesse presents anything that's like truly scary here and he has to counter it instead, the Ragavan's going to be allowed to keep going to work, and that's big, big bad news for Raja.
Yeah, so Jesse here contemplating, okay, Raja hasn't done anything yet. If she can present a threat here that he has to counter, then obviously the Ragavan maintains on her side, because she's got to be aware that Archmage Storm is a possibility among the cards in Raja's hand. He does have 3 blue sources in play. Also, if
4 of them in his deck, right? This is very likely for him to have it.
Yeah, and also maybe she wants to hold off on using the Ren 6 until after she can play something else to see if she can get him to commit mana. Treasure is going to be used. Okay, so Grinding Station is the play off the Treasure.
Yeah, Grinding Station is in play. Don't think we did any milling there with the trigger. So, and then, oh wow, Boseiju targeting the Spar's headquarters.
That's interesting.
Oh, so, I think we may be starting to go off the lands right away, because we can pick that one right up with Ren, and we just start downgrading all of Raja's lands until he doesn't have any triumphs left. Nasty.
All right, so he's going to float a mana. Jesse will pick up the Boseiju. He will still be able to grab the Ragavan if he still wants to.
Right.
And the Ren 6 has been used, so she will have to use Unholy Heat if she wants to get rid of it, which honestly I don't feel like is that much of a cost for her. There's nothing else for it to kill right now, but it does make his Planeswalkers more likely to survive later on.
Yeah, the real cost is when the Planeswalkers start coming down, right? Like those Ren 6 is a powerful Planeswalker because it costs 2 mana. But if this game goes on for a long time, Raja's Planeswalkers that do cost more mana are more powerful. So Ren is going to start to kind of fall behind those other Planeswalkers that Raja has access to as Katria Triumph is put into play. Not sure the total number of Triumphs that Raja plays, but I don't think he can keep doing this forever.
No, I suppose that's true. We can find out in a moment. But in the meantime, so yeah, she's picking up this Boseiju, which she can actually fire off again right now. She may want to wait until the mana clears from the first one. Yeah, okay, here is the Archmage Charm to draw.
And we may just be responding to that, like, okay, yeah, here's 1 mana, blow up your Rafine's Tower. All right, we can keep doing this. We're just going to keep blowing up the lands. And, I mean, this does put some pressure on Raja. I mean, he doesn't have infinite lands. If she's just doing this every turn, eventually Raja's going to have to, like, take some action, or it's going to start becoming Stone Rain.
Yeah, I can tell. I'm counting up, looking at the deck list here, the Triumph count appears to be 3. So, yeah, so this
we did see him grab a shock land here. I mean, he's out of Triumphs.
So this is this is a plan that Jesse must have, she and Andrew may have come up with this beforehand that Raja's deck may be vulnerable if she draws the right sequence combination of cards to go after the mana base here.
Yeah, the thing is too, like, if with Jesse not really having a whole lot going on, it doesn't even really cost her a lot to start doing this.
All right, here is Teferi.
Archmage Charm notably drew 2 cards. Like, the Ragavan was still on Jesse's side of the battlefield, so instead of taking it, chose to draw 2 cards and then deploy Teferi, bouncing the Ragavan.
All right, so we know that there's options here now for Jesse for sure. Dash Ragavan can take out Teferi. It could also just attack Raja, because Ren 6 can take out the Teferi if she's willing to go off of her land destruction.
It does attack Raja. Look at that.
Yeah. Okay, finds the land.
Flipped off the top.
Yeah. Finds another treasure. So now, does she recur the Boseiju or go after the Teferi? She also has Unholy Heat, so there's other options for dealing with Teferi.
I have to imagine dealing with Teferi seems pretty free. Not that you interact on the counterspell axis that much anyway, but just getting it off the board like eliminates some of the tricks that Raja has, and eventually it'll be worth another card, more tempo and the things like that. So it's just a very low cost to really do. Like, blowing up Raja's lands, there's no rush to do that. Like, you're doing it because it's somewhat free to do while you're sitting here going through more or less a failed draw. Like, we don't have a ton going on. We're not really close to comboing until we draw Breach. So we're just kind of weathering the storm as we see a Gigantha picked up as well. 2 treasures available for Jesse. Just accumulating resources so that when we do draw something like Underworld Breach, we're good to go. But the Ren Boseiju stuff, there's no rush on it. There's no real, that 1 turn cycle of activation, not what's going to make the difference in this game, most likely.
All right, so one Solitude got flipped by Ragavan. Raja does have another one in hand alongside other options. So that is a way to get rid of Ragavan if it does venture into the combat zone again next turn. That does also take all his mana for the turn. And yeah, Jesse is doing, more than one thing a turn so far. And Raja is not.
Well, I mean, Planeswalkers certainly help with that, but yeah, this is kind of part of the power too of these decks that accumulate a lot of mana, but all their spells are very cheap. You can do a lot of game actions per turn as long as your cards are doing things like replacing themselves and what have you. And Ragavan does do some of that. Ren does some of that in somewhat unconventional ways. None of these cards strictly say draw a card on it, but do accumulate more resources in their own right. Mm-hmm. So Jesse taking all these game actions, it's hard to hate her position, but it's undeniable that Raja's hand is powerful.
Mm-hmm. All right, Raja's rethinking this breeding pool, and maybe he looks over at Jesse. She's like, yeah, okay, sure.
Yeah, I mean, he has a basic island in hand. No game actions were taken. He was more or less, he could just be revealing it as Solitude is now available. No life paid with Raja's life total down to 14. Maybe he begins to become a consideration. As we see expressive iteration in Jesse's hand. That was a good one. If she decides to go for the Ragavan attack again, and that requires that Raja make a move, then the iteration is going to be unchecked. And then maybe we can even assemble a kill this turn, finding something like Underworld Breach.
Well, I suppose that's possible. Alternatively, she could lead on iteration because then Raja would either have to let this go or, not have Solitude. It's just going to resolve. This turn's already basically a win for Jesse. If she's getting iteration and she's activating Ren at 6, Raja's not going to do anything compared to what's he going to draw 2 at best. That's not really. He's falling behind on the board.
Yeah, able to keep up with card advantage is Jesse for the time being. Like I said, that will change if some of these powerful Planeswalkers end up entering the mix in some way or another. But for the time being, Jesse's doing a great job keeping pace and even I'd say getting ahead. She's certainly ahead on board as Ren going to go ahead and pick the Boseiju back up. Emery hit the Exile Zone. That one does cost 1 mana thanks to Grinding Station and our 2 treasures that we see there next to the Ren. And here comes Dash Ragavan. And we'll see if Raja wants to make a move here. If he does Solitude in combat, that Emery may start to look unchecked with a Bobble already in graveyard. That one's certainly problematic.
Yeah, this is a lot of stuff Jesse's presenting here for Raja to have to deal with. And she's going to continue to take down. We saw her pick up Boseiju again. These Leyline Bindings are about to cost 4. That is not the plan when you when you sign up for this deck. When you construct this mana base, you're planning on playing 1 or 2.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's part of the reason for playing these triomes, having these lands that enter tapped. And Jesse's done a good job of spending her, I'll say, off time, her extra mana, her extra resources that she has, just kind of downgrading some of Raja's cards. And that could very much matter here as Raja more or less flush with spells, but not flush with mana, as Dress Down happening as we enter combat.
Okay.
The classic Dress Down plus Dash Ragavan.
All right, so Dress Down is in here. This will also make Emery not mill when Jesse chooses to cast it, which she presumably will anyway. So
yeah, with the Bobble still in the yard, I'm sure she'll cast it.
Yeah, but this does allow.
Does still get the cost reduction though. It is not a creature. It's like just a card. Is not a creature yet in play. So Dress Down, and we're gonna Boseiju the Dress Down still before attacks. I love this.
That's aggressive because unlike the other Boseiju activations, this one is going to give Raja a free land. Well, maybe.
Yeah, we're thinking. I'm not sure how we can interact with Channel. Notably, one of the harder things to interact with, but maybe he wants to do something before the creatures are unlocked once again. Let's see exactly how we're going to navigate this. I really like these little tricks. If you're talking to me about how I expected this matchup to play out, I expected a lot of the marquee cards to be involved. Things like Underworld Breach fights, things like Urza's Saga fights, fights over Ren. But Ren hasn't really been able to do too much. I don't want to underestimate what's going on with this Boseiju right now, but overall, compared to the things you could do with, sagas, I think it's certainly a power tick down. And Jesse's doing a really good job kind of leveraging the little pieces of value on cards like Boseiju and things like, and Broker's Charm flipped. And we can cast that one right away if we want 2 cards. Does cost 3 mana and you lose your ability to do Emery, but not if we spend our turn playing Wooded Foothills.
Yeah, not with another land coming here. No, Jesse will continue to be able to play everything. All right, Steam Vent's fetched up. So yeah, it could still be Emery plus Broker's Charm if she wants. And that's a
great turn.
It is.
Excessive iteration. Managed to get a hit in with Ragavan. Activated Ren is going to be able to play Emery and still have a draw to with all of this mana. This is an incredible use of mana.
Yeah, this is really good. It was a good turn for Raja also. He got a 2-for-1 on Dress Down. He basically played Growth Spiral for free there. And here is Emery's going to find Solitude, which he's able to hardcast.
Subtlety.
Yeah.
Hardcast Subtlety yeah. Raja. See where she wants this. Yeah. Well, none of these modes say counter a Subtlety, right? Destroy enchantment, draw 2 cards, and a creature gets +1 power and fights. Okay, yeah, that's not it. I'll put the Emery on top, says Jesse. That one's still going to be a problem next turn like it is this turn.
All right, Jesse's reading Broker's Term. Let's go ahead and bring that up on the screen. If anyone else is unfamiliar with exactly how it works, it is going to be cast here.
And I believe that's the first mode there. I believe we gave Ragavan +1/+0, and then until end of turn, and then it deals damage equal to its power to target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls. So that was the mode used there to pick off the subtlety with that Ragavan, and then Ragavan went back to hand. So a nice use of resources there. Didn't really interested in the 2 cards. Wanted to keep pressure off of her Wrenn, which I think is really smart. And I imagine we're going to see Boseiju, if nothing else, Boseiju picked up and start to go after this Castle Vantress. That's like part of Raj's plan, I'm sure, to get ahead while still holding up mana. Yeah, we've seen Jesse do a ton of things each turn, though, so I'm sure it starts with Ragavan and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, sure does.
Yeah. Going after Castle first would be interesting because then Raja would be forced to, not that he's likely to play it anyway this turn. This is going to be, here's a Solitude, hard cast. But Jesse's got, so Ragavan goes down.
But that was a ton of resources spent by Raja, just answering some of these like mopey creatures. Jesse, all spells left in hand. We see Bolt, Unholy Heat, Gigantha, Emery, all cards that I think are arguably fairly powerful on this board.
So Emery's going to cost 2 now because the treasures are all gone into the Broker's Charm.
No, we got a Mox Amber and a Grinding Station. Cost 1.
But where? Oh, I missed the Mox in the line pile. You're correct.
4 cards coming. Another Ragavan. There's the Saga, and that's a huge hit.
Yeah.
Waiting on that Wrenn is going to pay off big time as here comes Saga right into play. Yes, thank you, Jesse, wasting no time getting that one into play.
No, she was clearly looking for that. Didn't have to think about it at all. It showed up and her probably eyes lit up. Was like, yep, there we go. Right.
That is what the doctor ordered.
Yes, indeed.
And certainly why I'm sure she kept that Emery on top, because as soon as she can find a Saga at all, this Wrenn starts to turn up the heat in what it represents quite dramatically. What? I'm not sure what we're talking about here. No. Looks like she's tapping mana.
I think she's determining whether to use Unholy Heat or Lightning Bolt to take out the Solitude.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, there's a little bit of question. I think Bolt is the worst card, but we are close enough to winning on a life total race with Saga tokens that maybe there's some consideration to this Bolt going face. But I think Unholy Heat just representing clearing a huge Planeswalker is worth quite a bit more. Something like a Jace come down, uptick, you can clear that right away without having to do any kind of finagling stuff and letting Raja untap with Jace, because as we've seen multiple times, that is disastrous.
Okay, action has slowed down here.
Raja, I might have access to Counterspell, thinking about whether he wants to keep that pressure in play to pressure Wrenn. Still going to take multiple hits to take care of the Wrenn, but at least gets to start pressuring it. You got to start somewhere, and I think that's what Raja's thinking about. Is are we going to try to just clear it with something like a eventually drawn, removal spell, or do we just going to have to try to get the Solitude going to work here? And Counterspell coming after Lightning Bolt, I think, makes a decision on that. And now Jesse has the decision if she wants to fire off the Heat as well. And I have to imagine if Roger's willing to counterspell Lightning Bolt, you probably want to fire off the other removal spell right now.
I agree.
Sure does.
Yeah. And so now hand size significantly depleted. Roger with 2 left, Jesse with just 1, but a lot of powerful card advantage permanents on the board versus Roger's board of just land.
I'll tell you what, watching Raja draw Archmage's Charm in this matchup, it has looked kind of underpowered in basically every opportunity. I think that's an interesting dynamic to this Temur Breach deck. Is it doesn't feel like Archmage's Charm is very good against it, like it is good against things like Hammer and other decks in the format like that. I think that's mattering quite a bit in this game.
I mean, we also saw, Jesse has generated a lot of card advantage, and Raja used instead of trying to steal the Ragavan, he just drew 2. And so it didn't impact the board again. And I feel like that's kind of been the issue, is that Raja has not, done anything to the board that Jesse's had to deal with, aside from putting out some Solitudes that she wanted to pick off. She did do that. And there is another one now. There's Wrenn 6 threatening ultimate already. Saga's on the board.
Yeah, I mean, Wrenn a problem whether it ults or not. I mean, she just picked up, I think, she just picked up the Boseiju. She has Springleaf Drum in hand. Not really the one you want to draw, but has a Gigantha to check this Solitude. But even if, whatever, Wrenn can take a couple hits from this Solitude, even if you don't protect it, just picking up the Saga again and again is going to be very powerful.
All right, Springleaf Drum.
And that's before she even draws Underworld Breach, the card the deck's named after.
Yeah.
Doing a good job once again, covering all angles. I'm going to win the fair plan. And you know what? If I ever draw Underworld Breach, I'm going to win the unfair plan too. So you better start figuring some stuff out, Raja, says Jesse, as a fetch and shock happens here, putting Raja down to 7 and representing maybe 2 cards coming for this Archmage's Charm.
Yeah, Archmage's Charm drawn empty-handed, but life total low enough now. I mean, this red 6, I mean, he has to deal with it anyway, but yeah, with the Lightning Bolt in the graveyard, just a few lands would be enough to finish Raja off here. So he's going to need a way to get through the construct that's going to try and block this.
How about another Archmage's Charm?
Well,
looks like Counterspell Archmage's Charm to ferry the 3 cards. Normally pretty good 3 cards.
Yeah.
Kind of awkward here. Picking up Saga doesn't feel awesome. She hasn't made a construct yet, which is really, I think, the thing you'd like to be picking up.
No, but
make one in combat and block.
Right. Well, Raja can grab the construct, right? So that means that the Solitude can get through. He does have mana.
Yeah, then the construct's like a 1/1. Ren down tick takes care of it, and Jesse gets to pick another, or she can just pick. I mean, it's just problems.
But it's better than Ren Ultimate.
True. Okay, fair. I guess that's step 1. And Raja agrees. Step 1 is keep Ren from ultimating. And Jesse says, I don't know. I'm willing to spend a construct keeping you from doing that, especially because it profitably blocks right now.
He's not even going to get it either.
Like, well, can't have that.
She can sacrifice it to Grinding Station. Yeah, so he doesn't even get it. It's just a removal spell. But still,
that's nice.
That's good enough, as at least he connects with the Ren at 6. So that problem is put off for a few turns. Even if even cost him some resources just to make that happen.
Yeah, I mean, I'd argue, a 3-mana spell just to answer a token from Jesse is not where you want to be, as here comes Teferi. Have to imagine that's returning something to hand. Saga looking to be the best target. Raja agrees. And passes the turn back. Counterspell up. No fight available thanks to Teferi. We'll see. Jesse just turn after turn doing a great job. And Beseju, not a spell. Able to activate that one right now. And if there's no lands for Raja to grab, Counterspell not up. Well, there is Basic Island. Grab that one.
There's plenty of lands in Raja's deck. We are out of Triomes or 3-color lands.
How many more shock lands do we have left? We got 2 Breeding Pools in play, 2 Hallowed Fountains. I feel like we're beginning to run low.
All right, let's
here comes Beseju back to hand.
There are 2 Breeding Pools and 2 Hallowed Fountains in the deck.
Yeah, so, I think Raja has a lot of lands.
All right. But let's get a count on the rest
of it. It's starting to get nasty.
There's 3 islands. There's 1 plains. So
we have 1 island left. It looks like.
Okay, then this is really starting to take its toll. Now, he's got some lands he could live without, certainly, at this point.
For sure. He's got plenty, right?
Yeah. But he probably won't be, at this point, his land total will probably be decreasing as the game progresses, and he won't be able to replace any colors. Here's Counterspell and Giganta.
Counterspell answering Giganta is nice, but once again, Solitude can't take care of the Ren, and token production is back online for Urza Saga as early as next turn, and that's still a problem. So despite Raja doing a good job of kind of treading water, he really needs a big top deck, something like a Jace the Mind Sculptor, or I don't know, any kind of way to get any kind of card advantage going.
He needs to get this Ren off the board. Because this Beseju thing that we're kind of giggling about is going to start mattering over the next, that's still going to take a few turns. And she may actually be preoccupied doing other things at this point.
Looks like Dress Down and maybe Odawara. The 2 cards. Dress Down, a big one. That does clear constructs.
Yeah. The life total, Jesse at 13. So it's hard to imagine Raja's going to prioritize attacking her instead of. He's like, all right, let me
Raja, check. All right, what can you blow up? Stop it. Stop blowing my stuff up. Yeah, and at one point too, Joe, and this is a real long shot, but Jesse's just under so little pressure. Is there a chance that Grinding Station just like milieu the fairway is ever on the table?
That's not something I've seen happen, but I suppose it's possible. I don't know. I don't see it.
Okay, all right. There's a lot of cards that Raja's churning through. Lands getting out of the deck with Beseju, cards being drawn with Archmage's Charm. Eventually, deck count's gonna be.
If she milled Raja and the island flipped over, that would be relevant. I will grant that, but that's fairly unlikely. Here we go. Kahira being rebought. So this allows another point of damage to come through on Ren, probably.
I think it gives vigilance too. Not entirely.
It does. Irrelevant. Yeah, no, it does. Certainly relevant in the future. Raja may be attacking Jesse. He's thinking about it.
Yeah, Jesse to 13 and Ren not dying to this attack makes it fairly appealing to start turning the corner and being like, all right, this Ren is annoying, but I'm just tired. I'm tired of playing this game. I need to get you dead, and I can put you to dead on board with this attack. So we'll see exactly what he decides to do. Kind of hard to get confirmation when cards have vigilance, because normally, people turn it sideways and point with the card or whatever, but here you just kind of, visualize or verbalize rather what you're going to be doing. And it looked like Jesse. I think I saw
No, it
finger
was
pointed at Jesse.
Indeed. So she'll drop to 9. Raja up to 14, which doesn't matter too much, but
and if you're Jesse Robkin, I think that couldn't be a louder signal that I have an answer to your token.
Yeah, perhaps. All right, Boseiju takes out a tapped breeding pool for an untapped island. So Raja turns on Archmage Charm if he's got one. And Jesse picks up Boseiju again. She is obviously selected her plan of attack this game.
Let's see exactly what else she can assemble. I think she needs a little bit more. I was incorrect. I think Kiera's only a 3-power creature. Solitude only a 4-power creature. So going to be too shy of killing Jesse this turn is Raja. But the tokens can be cleared by that dress down we know about basically at any point.
Mm-hmm.
And then the saga thing is going to start to look too slow. But honestly, I mean, based on the composition of Raja's hand, Jesse's now in the territory where we haven't seen a single Underworld Breach through all of these cards so far. The second she draws one, I have to imagine it's game over.
Yeah, but that's probably true. But she doesn't have too many seconds left. I mean, this has been... Now, this Ready, like when the Ready 6 could have picked off the Teferi, now hasn't mattered yet that she didn't do it, and maybe it won't, but it's building back up in loyalty, and Raja is, let's see, what's he got to play with here?
We may be thinking about bouncing Urza's Saga, forcing the action now, then dress down proactively. I don't think that changes much. See exactly what he's trying to do here, but I imagine this is a Channel Otawara. We do have a legendary creature in play, so it does only cost 3. And yeah, that one's going to go after the Urza's Saga, which is going to get activated. Here comes a Construct, only a 3/3.
I don't know. I think Raja is constructing a line here, and there's a Teferi. That's nice as well. Doesn't necessarily even
Time Reveler?
need it this turn.
So do you play the second one, cash out the card, get rid of the creature right away, or do you use the dress down and forego gaining life and having vigilance and stuff like that?
I mean, maybe you play the dress down and then play the Teferi and bounce the dress down because you need more. I mean, you're finding another counterspell would be nice for Raja. You'd be a lot safer,
right?
Is Raja?
Yeah, maybe it changes if you draw one, and here comes Teferi, number 2. So the legend rule out the first one.
Raja knowing that there aren't any more fetchable lands left in his deck at this point. So leaving the basics untapped so they're guaranteed to be available, not get picked off by Boseiju.
Yeah. And we do know Jesse has Boseiju available, so maybe that interrupts part of like the dress down plan, like picking it back up, not really something you can do. Boseiju does still work underneath the Teferi protection.
You're right.
So now, yeah, we might just be doing it all. Just draw more cards. Like what Roger's thinking about here, of course, has to be the Boseiju. Jesse really can't have any other responses. Let's see if he wants to go to combat first. He does attack. Keeping vigilance, so attack first, but during attacks and after the attacks before blocks, we're going to go ahead and do the dress down thing. Creatures stay untapped, life not going to be gained, and a little bit of a smaller attack, but is going to be the play here, and that's going to clear that construct out of the way. We'll no longer have the text that gives it power and toughness, so the 0/0 will go to the graveyard, and a card will come for Raja's Trouble. Not leaving Hall of Fountain untapped as a respect to Boseiju, so going to keep the islands untapped. Those work because there are no more fetchables, so if he wants to draw Archmage's Charm and have it work, he needs to leave up the islands.
All right, Teferi bounce. Does he pick up dress down? Yeah,
I think so.
All right, and okay, there is a Boseiju.
She's going to respond. Yeah, I like that. Prevent that card draw.
All right, so that was
land found.
Let's see, how much damage came across there? 6, because this Solitude lost its boost. Jesse appears to have drawn a land, and Jesse appears to be dead.
Yeah, Jesse to 3. This looks dead. And Raja maybe kind of getting away with one here. No breach drawn across the entire game.
Yeah, Raja may have grabbed a game here that he certainly took less game actions, did less things, but Jesse unable to stabilize the board, and this Solitude plus Kahira may be enough.
So we have a judge pausing the game. Looks like we're talking about Beseju here a little bit. But either way, I mean, I think the writing is more or less on the wall. I don't really know what we're talking about here, but like I said, the writing more or less on the wall. And Raja chose this format. And I mean, you're never really going to get any free rides when you're talking about the finals of the NRG Championship event. These are, two star-studded players, very, very talented in what they do. But, it did feel closer than comfort would allow, I think, for Raja.
Yeah.
In that first game, but he does get away with it and is able to break serve here in the first match. Of course, his best 2 or 3 matches, which is of course modern. He was on the play. He did choose that format and got to be on the play. Is able to get a win for his trouble. And let's have a look at what changes in the sideboard games.
Yeah, that was a very interesting game to watch. That Jesse's plan almost was enough to tilt the game over on her side, just wiping out Barrage's resources. Didn't quite get there. All right, Teamer Breach deck. Obviously, we never found the namesake card, the Underworld Breach, which would have probably made a significant difference on the outcome of that game. I think unquestionably so. But we saw basically everything else. We saw the Ragavan and the Saga. Emery also didn't quite get to do its thing. But tools out of the sideboard. Against the control deck, well, Drake Sasser, Veil of Summer is pretty good against blue decks.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, right? Like we saw Beseju be kind of part of Jesse's plan. I don't know if you're interested in reaching for another one. Obviously, the Veil of Summer's protection for your counter spells is huge. The negate, I think, obviously also very much for this matchup. You have to expect if you're playing in the NRG Championship event, you're going to be playing against quite a bit of control. So a lot of these counter spells, I'm sure, are there in part to respect those control decks. The question kind of becomes, how much of the other stuff is she interested in? Pithing Needle for Planeswalkers, for instance, any kind of stuff like that. But I think the Spell Pierces, the Veil of Summers, and the negate are kind of the slam dunks.
Mm-hmm. Sure. And there are other, like, Torpor Orb. Would you ever want to shut down, it shuts down Solitude and I guess Subtlety.
Shuts down your own Emery Mills, though?
Yeah, I know.
That doesn't sound worth it to me.
I mean, I don't know if it's worth a card. If you just told me your Emerys don't mill and your opponent's elemental incarnations don't function, I would take that deal. Is it worth a card? Maybe not. I would give up like a scry and a half for it. But,
is that an approximation value there?
Yeah.
Anyway, I think
a scry is worth less than a card, right? I'm not willing to give up a card. Sure. I'm willing to give up less than that. So yeah, I would be willing to let Raja scry. To start the game in order to have that effect.
Stay back. Let's have a look at Raja's deck and see what he has available to him here in the sideboard games.
Okay.
All right.
Veil of Summer on both sides. We see these flashback disenchants.
Array of Revelation. Have to imagine that card. I mean, I don't know what else it's there for, if not the Underworld Breach decks, right? 1 mana Stone Rain with flashback against Urza's Saga, I guess it's 2 mana on the front half, 1 mana on the back half. You get the joke. Nasty. But also just being able to have it, at the ready to cover for Underworld Breaches, I think is a pretty big appeal for the card, and I can't really think of any other reason he'd want it.
Yeah.
So I have to imagine those are slam dunks. Maybe things like Govid's Veto or things you're going to reach for as well. That way you're not getting fought back with counter spells. And like Wear Tear, stuff like that, being able to hit like a construct and an enchantment gets to clean up a Urza Saga pretty cleanly as well. So the disenchant effects appealing to me. Maybe some of the counter spells, things you're going to reach for as well. Don't think you're interested in like fighting with the endurance axis. Maybe you could do a little bit of it, but I'm a little more skeptical on those.
Me too. And I think Rave Revelation is just a much easier answer to the Underworld Breach combo than endurance because, wiping the graveyard doesn't always
checks Ren. There's that.
Yeah, sure. I guess that's true. But yeah, Rave Revelation. Yeah, I mean, this is a really nice sideboard card for Raja Sulaiman, both here and against the Hammer decks. That seems like a real clean winner. As far as boarding out, we saw that game. I mean, he was able to use all his counters when he had them. All Archmage's turns were just drawing. Broker's Karm drew for Jesse. But maybe you trim out some of the slow cards, some of the cards that don't impact right at the beginning of the game. All right, we're going to take a brief moment here while players use the restroom. But we'll summarize where we're at. If you're just showing up, this is the finals of the NRG 2022 Championship. We are 1 game in, which is won by Raja Sulaiman. This is best 2 out of 3 matches, so we still got quite a bit of work to do. And the formats are modern. We're starting with modern. That was Raja's choice. Match number 2 will be Jesse's choice. And then match number 3 will be the opposite of match 2. So both formats are guaranteed to be played if we go through all 3 matches.
But we do have to get to that third match. And Raja, obviously off to a great start with winning the first game that he did choose. But like I said, a little bit hairy. And I think that really goes to show, obviously Jesse, the breach master, somebody that kind of more or less put that card on the map. But I mean, Team RIW always is going to show up at their control decks. They're insanely proficient and is a big part of what got Raja here. And a lot of commentators, they're no strangers to the talent that Raja has with the control deck in his hands. So hard to bet against him here. These matches are going to be close. And, I'm rooting for a third match, and I think personally it's going to be fairly likely to happen. This is going to be some tight magic, razor thin edges, and I don't think there's any runaway matchups that we're talking about in the matchup spread here in our finals match.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, Raja might be a little favored in Pioneer, but yeah, it's not a landslide like you're suggesting. Now, and so here's something. If let's hypothetically, let's say Raja wins this match, wins in Modern. So then Jesse has choice for the second match. If she's slightly behind in the Pioneer matchup wise, if you're sitting there, do you feel confident choosing the same matchup you just lost, or do you want to switch? I mean, that's also. I mean, this is day 2. We're getting late in day 2. The players have played a lot of games. This match is going to be lengthy. Jesse played a very short, a comparably short semifinals where Raja's went all the way down to the wire. So. Of the two players, she's probably fresher than he is right now. I don't know, just lots of different factors to consider here.
Yeah, I kind of see what you're getting at. If the question is like, are you behind in Pioneer versus, Modern? Do you want to select the format that you are rather less behind in? That way, when you're on the draw, you don't have as much to make up. Yeah. So if you lose, maybe just pick the same matchup again, and then you get to flip for the time when you're on the draw. So I don't know. I imagine it's going to end up the same either way, because I think Jesse, no matter what, wants to pick the match, like the matchup on the play where she's most likely to win no matter what. Yeah. But ultimately that's up to Jesse. I couldn't tell you what the exact percentage of this matchup spread is, or what Jesse's comfort level is, play versus draw in any of them. So I'm very actually interested to see, no matter what happens here in this match, what, she picks for the second match. Both formats seem like she's maybe a little behind. So
I think so too. And so maybe she chooses whichever format. Yeah, right. She just chooses for her pick whatever format she feels less confident in, because she's got to win the other one going second.
Right.
So
exactly.
I mean, even though it feels like, that gives you a lesser chance of winning match number 2, it gives you a better chance maybe of winning the whole tournament, which at this point is all that you should be concerned about.
Yeah, definitely. Right. I mean, we're in the finals match. All that matters is getting to that next win, giving yourself the next opportunity to win, because it's Magic the Gathering. Anything can happen. So, while we're sitting here, while the players are shuffling up, let's talk. We are in the final match. Let's talk about what they're playing for. Let's get that on the screen. Yeah. This is the finals match. You see all the rest of the positions. We get to see where every other player that was in this tournament has finished. These players have both locked up $2,500 for themselves. That is what the loser's going to get. The winner gets $2,500 extra dollars, so playing for doubling their money. But of course, I think truthfully, the more important aspect here for these players is that requalification. That is worth so much to all of these players that worked so hard to get here in the first place, getting it, basically more or less on the house. I mean, they obviously had to work for it here, but getting that re-invite right away to be able to come and compete again for the 2023 championship, I think is worth the world to both of these players, and we will certainly see them there. And I think that's a lot of what they're playing for here. And they're certainly going to have to earn it no matter what, as I think both players here now sitting down, still in the process, resolving mulligans. If you're here watching the finals, thank you so much for joining us. This is the final match. There's been a ton of awesome magic, and there's more coming to you very, very shortly. And if you like what you're seeing, you want to support us, you want to support NRG, please hit that follow, hit that subscribe button. I've seen a few subscribers roll through on Twitch chat. Appreciate y'all's support so much. It would not be possible without the support of the fans of Paper Magic. And of course, the fans of Modern and Pioneer, played in a paper form by some of the best to ever pick up decks, which you are going to see more of right here as the players consulting deck lists. Thank you so much for your support. Please follow, subscribe, support NRG and everything they do. And then, hey, if you just want to support us, me and Joe, maybe you're a Joe Lissette fan. Maybe you want to see more. Wait,
beautiful things. Maybe they're Joe Lissette fans.
It's a big question. A so-called Joe Lissette fan.
I don't know. I think I have some people that are rooting for me. I think I have people that would rather wish anyone else was in this chair than us. But that's okay. We're happy to have you here too. If you're watching on mute, that's fine. Also, plus, you're not hearing what we're saying anyway. That's okay too. All right, opening hands being drawn. for game number 2 of match 1.
Jesse, gonna take a look first. Raja. All right. I'm not even making this. I'm not even gonna look at it to make a decision. That hand looks really good.
Yeah.
Maybe not. I can see it go like look at the lands. I saw Veil Summer Expressive Iterations. It's hard to hate those cards. I wish I could have seen more of the hand, but Jesse hates it either way. Raja hates his even faster, so we're shuffling back up for mulligans. Yeah, I think that brings up a good point too. Is what are we looking for? Is Jesse, interested on the play here, just firing off that turn 1 Ragavan with Raja really wanting to develop his mana with tap lands?
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's certainly reasonable. It's tough. Jesse had a pretty good start last game, I think, all things considered. Ragavan into Ren at 6, and it wasn't enough. So
yeah, I feel like she was drawing live to like Underworld Breach through. I mean,
yes,
all of that mid game.
Yeah,
to just immediately went on the spot, and she just never really saw it, but did a great job treading water with her strong start. And Raja had to come back from behind, hoping that Jesse would brick on quite a few draw steps, and she certainly did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but the cards I'm looking for, if I'm in Jesse's seat, I think I want Ragavan, I want Emery, I want Ren at 6. If I don't have one of those, and if I have interactive cards, I can do better. At least on 7 cards. I want to be something. Absolutely. I want to be on the board. I want to get underneath the counter magic. I don't want to have Spell Pierce, Veil of Summer, and some lands. That's not good enough, I don't think.
Yeah, I think I have to agree with you there as well. As the players get a look at another one, there is a Ragavan. I see a red land. We'll see if that's good enough for Jesse to want to keep. Mm-hmm. Expressive Iteration also among the mix.
That's nice. 2 Unholy Heats. That's not great, but she does have the privilege of dumping one of them. So there you go. That hand becomes more keepable. We didn't see any of Raja's hand, or at least I didn't.
I see a little bit of it now. Prismatic Ending is going to do a good job covering. Mm-hmm. We do see a Hollowed Fountain to be able to power that one out, not relying on a tap land for white mana. I think that's a big game as well. Putting another land on bottom, as here comes the very powerful turn 1 Monkey Ragavan, Nibble Pilfer. Immediately answered, of course, with Prismatic Ending.
Putting the basic on the bottom also is nice, because if Jesse takes the same approach this game as she did last game, Raja's going to want those as many fetchable lands at the bottom of the deck as possible.
Yeah, I think so too.
That was
I wonder. The decision here is whether to deploy Saga or wait a turn. How quickly do we want to get on the Saga plan? Especially knowing, Raja has Ray of Revelations. If he just has one of those dialed up right now, then your land just gets stone rained, and that is a disaster. I feel like for Jesse.
Yeah, that would be hard to recover from. I think even already on turn 2. But we'll see. I wonder if the approach Jesse took with Basay shooting the lands, I wonder if that's something that Raja anticipated as being a possibility, or if that caught him by surprise as it began and developed over the course of the middle of last game.
Yeah, not entirely sure. It's certainly something he had to take into consideration. We saw him, adjust his tapping for mana multiple times just to it. So if nothing else, it was at the very least an annoyance as Jesse deploys 3rd land, no play, representing, of course, the activation on Urza Saga. Some consideration potentially to fetching now. That way, if there is a Ray of Revelation involved, you can't fetch to activate on the end step and then get caught still with the stone rain. But I think if Raja had it already, it would have been fired off. So maybe not really worth your time. Can think about how you want to sequence your mana. As Raja fetches a Spara's Headquarters tapped.
It's tough to spend like multiple turns on construct creation when it's so easy for Raja to clean them all up. But I still think it's probably worth doing every time for Jesse.
Yeah, using your mana on something uncounterable is just so appealing because, like, Raja, it's no secret. His hand's his deck's full of counterspells, his hand's probably full of counterspells, and that's definitely the case right now. Counterspell, Archmage's Charm, Dovin's Veto, all cards included in his current hand setup. And even if he goes to deploy something like a Teferi, it's like, okay, end step, make a token, make another token, attack your Teferi. That doesn't feel great.
Yeah, now we could also see if the Pithing Needle came in, which I don't know that there's a guarantee that it would have, but it could come in named Teferi Time Raveler here, which would be relevant now since Raja does have one. But I don't know that that's something that Jesse would really be interested in over the sum total of all possible games play out. How relevant is Pithing Needle for her? I'm not sure about that.
I'm not sure either. And I don't know. I really don't know who it's more important for as well to like use their mana every turn. Like Jesse's cards are in general cheaper. And so I would initially say Raja, but at the same time, like Raja has spells that are just so powerful that like using mana isn't necessarily what he's about. I don't know. It's tough. And we see Urza Saga being ticked up to 3. Going to see if she's going to make a token here. If Jesse wants to make a token or wants to fold some mana. We saw her do multiple spells a turn very effectively with the help of Ren and 6 hitting all of her land drops in game number 1. Did not ultimately convert to a victory, though, as here comes a second construct and a search.
All right. Is there another green source in Jesse's hand? There's a Veil of Summer, although that's not as relevant since she clearly doesn't have any intentions of casting much this turn. But it could still
something like an Archmage's Charm Steel or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. And also, even if Teferi gets cast for Raja, Jesse could respond. At least it can't bounce a token that turn. That still basically guarantees that Teferi dies. So having green mana available, even if there's nothing to have countered, is still relevant.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Let's see if Springleaf Drum is the find. It's pulled to the front, but Shadow Spear the find instead.
All right. So that is certainly a more aggressive leaning option. Worse in the face of Dress Down, but if Raja doesn't have one, then maybe these tokens can really get to work here.
Yeah, we can look at the very powerful equipment. On release, I think it didn't quite get the fanfare it needed. Saw a little bit of play in sideboards just as like a aggro matchup breaker, but with the printing of Urza Saga has exploded into multiple formats now. Just the ability to equip your tokens, make yours both bigger, and when the life point swing thanks to that lifelink, huge boon for all the Urza Saga decks. And of course, the ability can come up sometimes.
How rough is that for burn players? I mean, you don't even, not only did they have, now they get a life link equipment, but you don't even have to draw it. It's so rough. As if
they should tutor up this matchup breaking single card. Yeah, I mean, I feel like it has to be rough, but thankfully, I mean, Burn usually plays stuff like Smash the Smithereens and what have you to stop that. And with this land drop, here is an Archmage's Charm to draw 2 cards. So she still has Veil of Summer up. She did not need to grab the Springleaf Drum in order to keep that up. So that's going to be a big part of the thing. And no attack from Jesse. Also fairly interesting.
Wow, you're right. That is interesting. So playing around Endurance Hardcast?
Endurance Hardcast, Archmage's Charm Steel. I feel like there's a few things that could go wrong.
Archmage's Charm Steel you would want to play into right now because she has a Veil of Summer.
Yeah, but that may not be what you actually want to have to Veil of Summer. Veil of Summer at a premium in this matchup at, allowing you to force through some really important cards. And if you feel kind of more or less taxed into just using it on the first thing, that may not be where Jesse wants to be.
Maybe. I'm not sure I agree with you there because that would you're basically Time Walk Raja in the process. Okay, there goes a token, there gets dropped by Prismatic Ending. And also, it's no guarantee. Like if Teferi comes down, this Veil of Summer is not going to do anything. So I feel like I would be willing to, cash it in basically at a reasonable opportunity. And countering Archmage's Charm counts as far as I'm concerned.
Sure. Well, either way, Jesse fetching here on end step, and no Teferi deployed either. So these players on a level here that I'm not totally sure what's going on. But what I can tell you is that Jesse still has 1 construct left over, Shadow Spear in play, and is fetching a land, most likely going to be tapped. Not sure how many more shock lands are left in her list, but I think if she wants mana development to be as good as possible, every land here producing red, and shock land is what she needs.
Also, planning using Veil to stop Archmage's Charm. If Raja now had 2 opportunities in this match to steal something, has chosen to draw cards both times, so he may not even be looking to potentially run into something like Veil of Summer here.
I think so too. I think that's a big part of how Raja's navigated this game. I mean, obviously, Raja, control master, is no stranger to being Veil of Summered. I'm very confident in that. And, as we play these games, he does a good job playing around it and kind of understanding that Archmage's Charm, the 2 cards you're going to draw for Archmage's Charm are probably going to be better than whatever, the effect of you stealing something is in general. So might just be the ability you want to activate anyway as we equip Shadow Spear to the remaining construct token. Smackdowns.
All right. That's
gets through.
Yeah. That is not an especially impressive turn for Jesse, but it does get things going, and maybe she'll benefit in the future turns from having the Shadow Spear already equipped.
I mean, she has all her cards up, right? She has Unholy Heat still represented, still has Veil of Summer going on, has pressure in play. Like, no real sense overextending into things and letting Raja assemble some kind of mana-efficient turn where he gets to cast multiple spells, answer the things, and you're kind of left on empty. Whereas you could just kind of keep your hand close to your chest, develop your mana, and as long as you're developing mana, you can eventually just beat Raja on mana efficiency in a pretty important turn. But Teferi may start to complicate matters, as here is the powerful Planeswalker, Jesse, Immediately shuffling some cards around. Veil of Summer going to be deployed. That one will replace itself to Fairy being blue and will prevent the construct from being bounced. We'll see if Rogers has any interest in stopping that from happening.
I feel like he might. Yeah, he might just burn off the Dovin's Veto here or whatever other counter he has, because getting this construct off the board is certainly
it could be really relevant.
Yeah.
It seems like Roger agrees. Grabbing an untapped basic here seems to signal either veto or counterspell. I think he has the option of both. Counterspell probably the better one to deploy. Chooses veto instead. Less flexible. Takes care of the Veil of Summer. Get rid of your construct. Thank you. Card coming. Land. Fine. Not great. Draw from Jesse is Beseju.
All right. Well, we saw a lot of action with Beseju last game. We're going to see iteration here, I would imagine. Yeah.
You have to imagine that one's.
Yeah.
Definitely time to cast that one. Your board has been answered. The onus is on you to produce more good things. Land, Fable of Mirrorbreaker, and Mox Amber. The cards. Fable, pretty appealing. The rest of them, not super exciting. Yeah, Fable going to hand.
Yeah, that's in there. I don't think it's tough to. Okay.
It was the top card. Whatever.
Yeah.
I don't think it matters. I think she picked up a 0-mana artifact anyway. Could just play it. I just don't know what really matters in that. Is Land, Fable going to be deployed? I guess if you want to deploy the artifact to the second chapter of Fable of the Mirrorbreaker, you may be very interested in keeping that one in hand. And that seems to be probably the reason Jesse did it that way. As we pass the turn back with a new Goblin Shaman token made. Thanks to Fable of the Mirrorbreaker, a somewhat new innovation card that has been making waves across basically every format it's legal in, now suddenly finding its appearance in Modern in this Breach deck.
Yeah. Fable of Mirrorbreaker, super well designed card, I think. I mean, on the pushing the bounds of Pioneer, but I think correctly not banned so far. But really cool card. Does a lot, gives a lot of play, puts a lot of stuff on the board, as we can see here. And
so much rate.
Yeah.
Like none of the things in and of themselves are like super game breaking, but just there's so much text on that card that eventually, something's going to matter. I don't know what chapter, what side, whatever is going to matter on this card, but no matter in the average game of Magic the Gathering you're going to play, some effect on that card is going to matter. As we get a look at Fable of the Mirrorbreaker, going back to Jesse's turn, made its 2/2 Goblin Shaman token on that first chapter already. Now up to chapter 2, get to discard up to 2 cards, draw the number of cards you discard. And then, of course, the third mode flips it to the non-legendary enchantment creature, Reflection of Kiki-Jiki. There's your backside there. Does kind of mimic Kiki-Jiki in effect. Able to pay 1 mana, tap it, and make a copy of a non-legendary creature. Second to the next end step. As you mentioned, very nice card. I also agree. Very smartly not yet banned in Pioneer. Maybe will eventually, but not right now. And I don't even know if it will eventually. It's somewhat innocuous.
I don't think so. Well, we'll see when the new set drops in a few weeks. But I think Pioneer doesn't need a ban right now. I think they're wise to not do anything. All right, so we're out here. We're taking out Fairy Time Raveler
and Fairy. Could have attacked that with a Shaman token.
Could have,
maybe thinking that combat tricks may be on the table for Raja to keep the Teferi around.
I suppose there's the option of attacking first. If something happens, then you can unholy heat. But go ahead and equip again.
Now, when we were yapping, Jesse did discard, I believe, both the Beseju and the Mox Amber. So got 2 new cards off the Fable. Didn't get a great look at those. As here comes a treasure with the newly equipped Goblin Shaman. Have to imagine if she's equipping and attacking, not a whole lot that Jesse intends to deploy this turn. But that doesn't necessarily mean any of the cards are weak. And yeah, we do see an Underworld Breach, and I think Heat number 2 and potentially even an Expressive Iteration available in hand. Really powerful cards. Maybe waiting for Roger to make a move before something like the Underworld Breach will slam the door on this game.
All right, so down to 7 here. This damage, I mean, while it's been rather insignificant pieces one at a time, it is adding up. And a draw 2 from Raja here finds a Solitude.
Notably electing to draw 2 cards over killing the Fable of the Mirrorbreaker.
Raja is flush with goodies.
Yeah. Getting rewarded, I think, for all the 3-mana draw 2s. And it is interesting. Kind of 3-mana draw 2 didn't used to really be a thing in Magic.
Win with a breach if she manages to get one into play. Yeah. I'm not sure that she does, actually.
Not yet. The Amber allows you to keep going. Well, if you have enough mana, then you get to...
Before it can go a long way towards catching you up.
Yeah. As Teferi is deployed here. That one potentially problematic. We know Jessie has another Heat available to her. And if this just bounces the token, you can't really just clear it with the creature you have in play.
Into play here. So Unholy Heat shut down for the turn. Well, I think I either lost Drake or Drake lost me.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I
at
think
this
I'm
point.
good. I think Joe lost me then. Dang.
But I'll stay with you as long as I'm.
Because I hear everybody as well.
Here.
Oh no. Me?
Just figure this out.
I don't think he can hear you either. All right. Well, we're resolving some technical difficulties from Joe. I'm going to try to keep things going here. Joe may do some talking over me because I don't believe you can hear me right now.
Reflection does flip over. It does convert into. Yeah. Okay, it was me.
Yeah. All right. Joe's figured it out. We got Reflection, the Kikijiki flipping as Unholy Heat going to dispatch of the Teferi Time Raveler. Of course, not a hasty Kikijiki. Unlike Kikijiki itself, Reflection of Kikijiki does not have haste, not able to pick off the Teferi, although we've seen Jesse be a little reluctant to try to beat the Teferis in combat, given how many combat tricks are available for Raja with so many cards in hand. All right, here comes Expressive Iteration. We'll see if Raja wants to bite on that. I don't think there's much downside to biting on that. It seems like Raja agrees because, I don't think we can assemble an Underworld Breach kill right now if Raja counters this. So this is certainly a good catch-up mechanic for Jesse to be able to use this Expressive Iteration and get both cards off. Her card's very cheap. Does choose to counterspell that one. 2 mana left over, and that's going to be an equip on Shadow Spear. In-step fetch from Raja does put him down to 6. Life total beginning to become a real factor, although I believe Raja has, a fair bit of interaction pieces left, using life total as a resource throughout most of this game. And back to Raja's untap. See exactly how Raja wants to sequence his turn. All of his cards work at instant speed. I imagine we're likely to see a land and a passing of the turn. And that is exactly what we see as we untap Jesse with 5 mana. Raja with all 8 mana untapped. Quite a bit. Probably more than he needs. And 2 mana. Gonna start with Underworld Breach. A bold statement of, hey, look, put you to the test right now. Do you have any left? What's left in the tank, Raja? And Raja, reaching for mana, has something, and it is the Archmage's Charm we know about, which I think is the last piece of counter magic. 2 lands and a Solitude, the pieces left. Gonna counter the Underworld Breach. We'll see if there's any follow-up for Jesse. Raja nearly out of resources. Only a Solitude really left in the tank. We'll see exactly what Jesse wants to do about that. If she can do anything. I mean, she's spent a lot of resources. It might just be by Gigantha time. As Jesse takes a look at the graveyard, sees exactly what Raja has gone through. Gigantha, not worth a ton, but with Raja's life total getting very low, basically any creature could represent quite a bit. Now, that Solitude is going to do a lot to slam the door on any kind of winning via combat damage stuff that Jesse can do. And Underworld Breach, certainly, I think, a more scary card. Does she have another one? She has a second one, deploying it right now. 2 mana left over. What can we assemble with that? And yeah, Raja does the exact same look. You see him lean forward a little bit, look into the graveyard to see exactly what that's worth. Looks like the answer might just be some Expressive Iteration stuff. Can put Mox Amber into play. But with Reflection of Kikijiki not being legendary, does not yet make mana. And we are doing a big think. I think we're thinking on, once this one resolves, what we're going to do. And like I said, I think for Jesse, it has to start with Expressive Iteration. Yeah, we are going to tap 2 mana here, and there is Expressive Iteration. Have to escape 3 cards. Going to do that right now. Looks like land, and heat going away, maintaining some of the cards that matter in the graveyard. Cards like Beseiju, Mox Amber. You want to keep those in play, I think, or in your graveyard. As we resolve the first spell post Underworld Breach, that is Expressive Iteration. Red and 6 among the mix. Negate and potentially a land. I think we're short a second mana source to be able to actually cast Red and 6 right now. So we'll see how she wants to sequence these piles. Yeah, I think you need to play the land. And then you can actually go to combat with that Unholy Heat / Veil of Summer available. So that's what we're going to do. Underworld Breach still in play. Attacking for 3. It's going to put Raja, I believe, down to 3. Give Jesse a few more life points to work with. Not that Raja's really anywhere close to winning the game via life total quite yet. And we're going to play the Scalding Tarn and Fetch right now. Let's see if there's anything we want to do second main. Maybe pulling the Mox Amber out of the graveyard is something that matters. I can see that potentially being the case, especially with Ren and 6 put into hand. Giving yourself a little bit more mana seems relatively free, but I don't think we're really going to be able to send any kind of kill here. And we'll have to see if Raja's going to finally pull the trigger on the Solitude after the Underworld Breach goes away in instep. That way it doesn't get immediately picked off by an Unholy Heat. Hey, Joe, welcome back. You are back. It's nice to have a co-commentator again. Oh, of course. Well, here's a Veil of Summer. Gonna go ahead and be cycled. I think that's really heads up from Jesse. Escape that. And there's a Mishra's Bauble. Actually, Mishra's Bauble's a big pickup. Now she can cash out that Bauble for a few more cards if she wants. It looks like she wants. She's reaching for it very quickly.
All right, so it looks like I missed Equip, Attack, and then Breach cantripping. All right.
Yeah, Breach number 1 was attempted. Kind of failed to go off. Breach number 2 attempted, resolved an Expressive Iteration, among other things. Solitude, the last card left in hand for Raja, alongside a pair of lands. Likely waiting to pull the trigger on that one until Underworld Breach goes away at instep, I would guess.
All right, so it looks like Jesse is solidly got a handle on this game now.
I mean, yeah, the bobble was huge. I think she kind of just pulled herself a little bit ahead, but as soon as she hit that bobble off that Veil of Summer, I mean, things started to heat up very quickly because she's going to have a couple extra cards coming here, and you see her reaching for those right away.
And Raja's down to 3, so a Bolt is a live draw here to end the game.
Well, Solitude is going to be able to attack, put Raja up to 6. And then we're going to need 2 Bolts. But certainly life total becoming a factor. Hey, make that 7.
Yeah.
Kira bought and added to the mix.
All right, so maybe Raja has the same idea. Well, doesn't want to get burned out here.
I do think that is the case.
And you're saying that Raja's remaining cards aren't so hot in hand, so
don't think so. I didn't get a great look at what the draw step was, but going into that turn of Jesse's, his hand was 2 lands, Archmage Charm, Solitude, and used both spells. It looks like maybe another Solitude. Like I said, didn't get a great look at what the pickup for the turn was. As we go back to Jessie, see what she has. You get a great look at that either. Looks like land, Ren, among other cards. Ren being able to pick up Saga could be good. However, there's suddenly a reasonable attack force on Raja's side of the field.
Yeah, at least one Unholy Heat for Jessie, though. So she can clean up her choice of creatures. And it is the Solitude, so it goes down. So now the Ren 6 Plus will now survive a turn.
Yeah, Ren 6 being able to survive a turn is really big. Be able to get Saga to start.
No Delirium, maybe.
No Delirium. Oh, no. Solitude getting the buff from Kahira. No Delirium, only enchantment, land, artifact as the 3 types means that heat not going to be very good. Now, we can just use the Ren to do the last point, but I don't really think that's how you want to use it.
No, that will, I mean, it's almost, a forced play at this point, but yeah, losing access to Urza Saga to be on the board this turn. And yeah, this is, Jesse's going to be kicking herself over this one.
Yeah, it's tough.
Because the rest,
I'm not sure.
The leftovers in her hand don't look exciting either.
No, they do not. I mean, I think I saw like Springleaf Drum. I saw Ren 6, which is kind of exciting, but now somewhat priced into just almost immediately dying.
Yeah.
And yeah, it looks like a land is the other card. So we'll see if she is going to kind of pivot to trying to pick off that last point from Solitude instead of picking up the Saga. It's actually still, I think, a tough decision.
I mean, given that she already played a land for the turn, I feel like it's getting Saga now is too late.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, then I think the downtick may just be where we have to land. And then, I mean, like I said, I didn't think Raja's leftovers were too exciting. So we might just end up in a top deck war. Now, I think Jesse could have maybe been in a better position, but it's not disastrous. This game's not just over right now as a result. But I don't.
Okay. Well,
Aether Gust take care of Ren anyway. So maybe it never actually mattered. And now Roger gets to untap with all of the creatures. Once again, did not get a good look at the draw. Maybe another Aether Gust. Here comes an attack for 7. Put Jesse down to 11.
11 is a pretty significant number. If you're right about it being Solitude Aether Gust, then that's a lethal attack next turn.
Yeah, I'm not sure right now. Here is Gigantha, picked up a long time ago, now being deployed. Can actually put Shadow Spear on that to make attacking very much a dead end for Raja without getting that one off the board. But if Raja has either Aether Gust or Solitude at the ready, that one just goes away basically whenever he feels like it.
And if he has both, she's just dead because the Solitude adds 4 power to the board. There's 7 there now. And Aether Gust to take out Gigantha and put it on top of the deck. So let's see if he decides... Well, there's not really free interaction in Jesse's deck. So if those are his cards, he can just go for this. So maybe he doesn't have one or both of those cards in hand.
All right, we'll see exactly what's going to happen here. Going to consult the graveyard. I think we may be thinking about various numbers of cards in deck. Yeah, looking at the sideboard too, seeing how many of each effect are left. I have to imagine if it was just a kill right now that we would be doing that.
Yeah.
So... I can only assume that Raja does not have a removal spell right now to Gigantha. Do we have maybe a Cycle Triome available? No. Endurance picked up. All right.
Well, you're right about the Aether Gust. There it is. So get Gigantha out of here. And it's going to go to the bottom. So there's the problem with the different colored sleeve. As if there's a shuffle, judges are going to make her change that sleeve out.
The location's known, not actually relevant yet, but may not matter at all. Emery. Emery's a draw.
Emery with Shadow Spear. No, that's something.
And I think a Ragavan as well.
All right.
Got some cards that can block. Yeah. And here, and even just blocking for turns is fine as long as Roger's having more counter spells in the tank, because Jesse can start to look to draw Underworld Breach yet again. I think she's been through 2 of them. It looks like draw an Underworld Breach and then just propel herself into finding a win somehow with that.
All right, it's going to be Dash Ragavan. Was that hard? Yeah, it is dashed. Okay, so here it goes.
Dash Ragavan. With Shadow out on the lifelink as soon as possible.
Ouch.
Endurance. That one's not great.
Okay.
And I think Jesse just willing to pick it up with Underworld Breach no longer being an out. I think that we are very much done here. You just lose the Ragavan, die on board to the creatures, and very much I'll say punished by the Unholy Heat. Not sure she was winning that game anyway, but it's also interesting that Raja did bring in the Endurances in this matchup. That's something that we thought, wasn't necessarily going to happen. And it mattered there.
Yeah.
I mean, having that attack force just to get Jesse dead mattered there. And Raja, who chose the modern format, a very quick 2-0 over Jesse Robkin to be up a match here in the finals of this NRG Championship. An impressive performance.
Yeah. I mean, definitely off to a good start here. And now, I mean, knowing he can't lose unless he gets to play Pioneer one way or another, whether it's match 2 or match 3, Pioneer will be played. So it's up to Jesse now. Which format does she want to go first in? Does she want to go first in Pioneer or go first in Modern? And that's if she's slightly disadvantaged in both formats. She talked yesterday about wanting to go first in playing in White and Pioneer against basically almost anything. So maybe we'll see that be the choice. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not totally sure. Yeah, like I said, we brought this up in the semifinals match where Jesse was talking about how against her teammate Andrew Ellenbogen, she was going to pick Pioneer because like in the mono white mirror, having the play was so lopsided, but it seems like we just got an update. It seems like she's actually going to pick Modern again.
Okay.
And I really love this. This is awesome dynamic. It says, okay, all of the games we've played so far have been close. I've been close one way or another. I think this matchup on the play is good for me, and Jesse's willing to run it back and be able to have Pioneer be the final match. If she is going to win this event, she has to win in both formats now, Modern and Pioneer. And we're going to start with Modern after this break. If you're sticking around, thank you. Please follow, subscribe for more magic. Until then, we'll be back in a bit.
All right, quick recap of the energy structure for the championship 2022. All right, we're starting stage 1, Saturday, the bulk of Saturday, round robin. The players are split into 2 pods of 8. They're going to play the other 7 players in their pod, 3 rounds of Modern, 4 rounds of Pioneer. At the end of that, the bottom 2 players in each pod are eliminated from the tournament. The top 2 advance into Sunday morning to stage 3.
In stage 2, the remaining players are going to play 3 rounds of Modern. 2 wins advances you to stage 3. 2 losses causes elimination of the tournament, and you are out. Seeding is based on the results from our Modern rounds.
Okay, stage 3, Sunday morning. Second set of double elimination, 3 rounds of Pioneer this time. We have the 8 players remaining in the event. 2 wins pushes you through the top 4, 2 losses, and you exit in the top 8.
The finals is exciting. We have top 4 players playing a best of 3 matches. So they're going to need to win matches twice. Players alternate formats, choosing play and draw choice, starting with the highest seed, 1-2, 1-2. Winner is our NRG Champion of the Year. We'll be right back with more action in just a few minutes.
All right, we're back here in your Rage Gaming 2022 Championship. 1 or 2 matches left in the year. Drake Sasser, we've got Modern coming up again. Jesse Robkin on the play, looking to turn around the result of the match that she just played. What do you think? We saw game 1, the main deck game, the Bosechu try and run Raja out of lands attempt. Didn't work. Do you think we'll see that again? If the Ren 6 and Bosechu
Not totally sure. Like I said, Joe, I think the power of the breach deck is really the flexibility.
Sure.
The ability to, okay, I'm building this fair plan. Oh, suddenly that's not going my way. Pivot to combo. And we saw that's kind of what Jessie was doing there in game number 1. She was doing a lot of kind of treading water a little bit. I think Jessie knows that her fair plan isn't as good as what Raja's bringing to the table with his powerful, expensive planeswalkers. It's going to be tough to outpower those, even with something like Ren and 6 coming down a little earlier. And so she was very much kind of buying time, doing a good job of, kind of disrupting what she could of Raja's. But I think overall, that's not really the thing she wants to be doing. It's not the best game plan she has access to. And as we, she's taking a mulligan here, I don't think that's the thing she's most excited to be doing, but it is really heads up of Jessie to see that that's an angle she can take if the draw's not quite coming together.
Right, definitely. All right, and for Raja Sulaiman, playing this band control deck, just kind of read and react to what your opponent's doing, and then we see it's able to turn the corner with these elementals and start attacking for significant chunks of damage in the later game, but really not looking to put creatures on the board until turn 5, turn 8, something like that.
Yeah, and that's part of the problem, right? With any kind of control deck, you just give opposing decks so much time. Mm-hmm. So you really need to be able to cover everything that deck has going on. And as I mentioned before, the Breach deck has a lot going on.
Yeah.
From things like putting you to the test right away with turn 1 Ragavan to, turn 2 Ren plus Saga stuff starting to loop. So based on the texture of what Jessie can draw, you have to really make sure that your answers line up. And Raja so far has done a great job of doing so. It seems to think that he has come prepared this weekend in cards like Broker's Charm, which, like I said, a little bit of a metagame call, I think, have looked excellent so far across the entire weekend. And certainly in this matchup, is Jessie taking a look at a 6 on the play in Modern. Now, Raja up a match. Raja wins any of the next 2 matches. He is your 2022 NRG champion. But Jessie still in it. Come back from behind, an impressive sweeping performance in the semifinals. See if she can do something like that. Again, she needs to right here.
Yeah, she
bobble.
She has to win 2 matches in a row, but winning 2 matches in a row is something that Jesse Robkin has probably done dozens of times this year, if not more than that. So this is an achievable obstacle that she needs to overcome here. Is certainly a strong possibility. Raja Sulaiman, however, from his perspective, well, he's gotten all the way here, and all he has to do is not lose twice in a row. Notably in matchups where he's probably slightly favored in both. So
sure.
We'll see.
I'm sure Raja being up a match has to like where he's seated. Now, of course, no excuse to get sloppy. And Raja, good enough, probably not going to get sloppy, but eventually, the endurance required to play these tournaments and so much on the line, it can really work on people's nerves. And some of the people that succeed consistently at the highest level have to be able to manage that. As Jessie draws her card post shuffle from the bobble. And is able to mechanically shortcut here a little bit, keep the magic flowing for you as Ren and 6 coming down right away. No Ragavan, but Ren and 6 worth quite a bit. We saw it do a lot of work in the first Modern match we watched just a second ago. and we'll see if it can do so again. Maybe this time convert to a victory, but I think Raja has a lot of removal spells going on here as we are doing some shuffling. Fetch shocking once again.
Safer than, well, actually, yeah. So we have Prismatic Ending, we have Leyline, Binding.
Right.
So multiples, safer than in sideboard games where there's also Ether Gust to take care of it. But on turn 2, it's always going to hit the board, isn't it? So that's something. She's always going to get a free card out of it.
Yeah, and the question does become, too, what is that card worth?
Wow.
If it's something like an Urza Saga, quite a bit. If it's something like a fetch land, well, a little less so. But the thing is, Jesse's able to use her mana efficiently here either way. You know, if Raja untaps, goes, okay, remove your thing, she gets to untap, go, okay, Fable the Mirror Breaker, and every spell that Jesse's playing is getting some amount of value immediately. In Ren's case, it's a land. In Fable's case, it comes with a token. And so we'll see, you know, exactly what she can snowball those little advantages towards as Raja has to, you know, kind of react to all of these things that Jesse's going to be doing.
Yes. Okay. So we'll see. I mean, you don't want to fall too far behind her. We saw this Ren 6 do a lot of work in game 1 last time. We'll see if Raja's able to get it off the board right away this time. There might be Prismatic Ending in hand, and that would be a clean way to do it. So was that Rafine's Tower and Breeding Pool? So also Leyline Binding mana available. I suppose you play the Sorcery Speed. Yeah, there it is. Prismatic Ending gets rid of that. We know Jessie has a third land she picked up. We saw Fable the Mirror Breaker in hand, so that's a reasonable follow-up here on turn 3.
True. And Raja, actually, interestingly, doesn't have another land. We see over and over again, his deck kind of seems to have more of the opposite problem, where he draws too many lands, and maybe why he was willing to keep this hand. But I think if Raja stumbles here on a land, it's going to be big game. Raja really needs to hit his third land drop.
Interesting development. Yeah, we see with Teferi in hand. I mean, if Jessie just plays Fable and Raja follows up with land, Teferi bounce the token, I mean, that's tremendous for Raja. But you're right. If you can't deal with the Fable token, then Jessie can get all sorts of advantage out of this.
Yeah, you start getting not just any kind of card advantage from the Fable, but also, you know, mana advantage from the token, and things can start to get, you know, out of hand very quickly. And part of the power of Fable the Mirror Breaker is that kind of multi-pronged attack as a draw, and it is Castle Vantress, a land, definitely what the doctor ordered for Raja. Shuffles the hand up a little bit to indicate that he's not playing the land he just drew, going to deploy it anyway. And here is Teferi Time Rattler, like you mentioned, going to yeet that token back to the Shadow Realm, aka the hand. You can see, get a good look at the very powerful rare from War of the Spark. That static ability, you know, powerful, but not even the only thing it has going on. Lets you play sorcery speeds though they have flash. The uptick, downtick returns up to 1 target artifact, creature, or enchantment to its owner's hand. Gives you a card for your trouble. As Jessie deploys the Saga, a great follow-up to a Teferi that's already been spent.
Wow, and Raja, you know, and there would be okay, well, scratch that. I was gonna say there's plenty of hands that he might have where he's not able to take advantage of Teferi's plus ability, but he does have 2 more prismatic ends in hand. So all kinds of
Jesse not interested in playing around with that at all.
Yeah.
Immediately Unholy Heats that.
Yeah.
Get that Teferi out of here. Thank you.
Which feels so bad, but it is something that we see the community has decided is a must. You have to get rid of Teferi Time Rattler. You can't let it stick around. Just the advantage gained by the opponent is too much.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. And Raja found a Plains off the last few draw steps, so gets to keep the land drops flowing. Definitely the draw has panned out for Raja. We'll see if he's interested in doing something like blowing up the Saga before I can get any value. We have another Teferi that we know about. Of course, Fable the Mirror Breaker is going to flip into Reflection and Kiki Jiki here momentarily. So kind of a few problems going on the board right now. And we'll see exactly what priority order Raja is going to have for removing them.
All right. Certainly, yeah. Full grip of cards here. Jessie just waiting. Raja with some cards that are currently useful, some that are kind of down the line. Like we see this Dress Down already in hand to deal with the future constructs that may be made.
Absolutely. The Plains is deployed. I think we might even have something like Subtlety available to us too, although I doubt that's the angle we're going to take. Saga, I feel like Saga is the thing we want to get rid of right now. It's the one that disrupts some of her mana, is part of the primary game plan for the Breach deck in general. And you certainly don't want the third chapter going off and getting some kind of artifact advantage as well.
Yeah.
But maybe Raja's, like, now that we're here in this kind of mana setup, the graveyard's somewhat stocked. You have to do a little bit of respecting Underworld Breach off the top with Grinding Station already in play.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't do anything really on its own, but it's so threatening because it does allow Breach to come in and just, do wonders all at once for less mana commitment. And
Yeah.
yeah, Raja
So-
unsure what to do here. He's taking his time on this one. We'll see. Decisions should be imminent, and he's maybe going to ask to
no
play a
decision's been
different
made,
land.
so wanting to take the land drop back. Yeah, we want to
Okay.
go ahead and Teferi first since we've decided to play Teferi. Return Saga to hand. If we draw a tap land, may want to play that one.
Mhm.
Let's see. Draw a basic anyway. Don't think we can play any spells from our hand no matter what. So Plains is the known information. I think we're going to redeploy that one and pass the turn.
All right.
And
Nice turn
card
for
coming from Jesse.
yeah.
Oh,
All right.
Yep, got to flip the thing. Reflection of Kiki-Jiki in play. No haste. That's so unintuitive to me.
I know.
Kiki-Jiki had haste. Why doesn't the Reflection have haste? I guess, too many words. It already has enough words, but come on.
I agree with you. It is. I mean, it's a good enough card anyway, but it does seem it's just unfitting that it isn't able to do that. It isn't able to be actually the other creature. Its namesake on the way in. All right.
It is just a reflection after all.
Jesse
Maybe
counting
reflections are slower.
permanence. That's frightening if I'm Raja.
Oh, yeah. And Breach is definitely frightening me. I think this is the nightmare scenario with something like Broker's Charm available. Able to get to work right away. Grinding Station plus Bobble allows you to start things up right away. And if something like Emery is found, maybe Emery to Mox Amber is just it. We might just be dead here.
Yeah, I think, there's 2 mana available for Grape Shot, and Grinding Station can just recast the Bobble and then escape those 3 cards. So there's no real need for anything here. It's just Storm Count and
I think
Grape
Jesse's
Shot.
Jesse's signaling that right now. I'm just gonna keep going until I hit Grape Shot. Raja thinking if any of his cards do anything. I think the answer is no. And so Jesse's saying I'm just gonna shortcut until I hit Grape Shot.
Yeah.
Raja has seen enough. No sense wasting time making you move your cards around. We are done here. And wow.
All right.
Really demonstrating the power of the Breach deck.
So Jesse's on the game. Jesse's on the board for the first time in this series. Up a game. And all right. Well, now we've seen, that's the first time we've seen really her deck do what it's designed to do.
Yeah, that's true. I think it has done some amount of what it is designed to do, at least in fractions, each time we've seen her play it. But here, I think we're really seeing her get paid off, too, for her bold decision to run back the modern format, saying, okay, on the play, you were able to get me. We still played a close game. I think it's close. So on the play, I think I'm favored. And she sure was. She was able to kind of tax those both angles, making Raja respect that Urza Saga with the Teferi, and then able to untap and slam the door shut with the Underworld Breach, really showing that kind of being able to pivot back and forth as long as you eventually draw your Underworld Breach.
Yeah, as long as you hit it, it still works. And we see this Grape Shot fly out of the graveyard and wipe out Raja's life total. All right, so game 2 upcoming. The players re-sideboarding. Likely same as what we saw before, but if you just joined us and if you weren't with us half an hour ago, we'll go and put the deck list up again, even though this is a repeat matchup of what we just watched in the first section of the finals. Raja Sulaiman's Bant control deck. It's not inconceivable that you learned something in the first match and you want to make a change now, right?
Oh, definitely. I think we saw Endurance come in. That was a question mark for me. It was not obvious, how many Endurance, if any at all, would come in. Jesse did get a little bit of information from game number 2 of the previous match, where Endurance was part of the mix. And so, getting that information, you saw the Gusts, you saw the Endurances. Like I said, I think we even saw Veto. So, you got a ton of information about the cards that are already coming in. Maybe you can adapt your plan. And this might be part of Jesse's confidence to do better this time around. Now that she's seen a little bit of the sideboarding, Raja has a lot of cards that could come in. The question is what? And we got to see some of that already ourselves.
Yeah, and since we assume with a great deal of confidence that Rave Revelations are coming in as well, that means Raja's boarding a lot of cards in.
Right.
And so now Jesse, with confirmation of that, can now try and pick out what he might be boarding out and maybe be able to target that in some way or another. So
yeah, maybe you lean more on the Breach, less on the Breach. The deck being able to pivot back and forth so much, and we can get Jesse's list up so we can kind of talk a little bit about that too. The deck being able to pivot between its plans so much means that you actually have a very flexible approach when it comes to sideboarding. How hard you want to go on the combo versus rolling it back a little bit, and how hard that Raja goes into the sideboarding strategy, I think is going to play a lot into giving Jesse information on how much, which direction to lean. And overall, I think leaning more towards the fair stuff seemed the way to go. You can get underneath the counter spells with things like Ragavan and Emery and Ren. All of those cards can pretty easily get underneath some counter spells. And, Breach, there's just a lot of ways to check it as the game goes on. And if he's bringing stuff like Endurance too, maybe something even as dramatic as cutting down to 1 or 0 is the way you want to reach. Not totally sure if she has the cards to bring in to do that, but it's simply, she has a lot of cards she can bring in too. Counter spells, Veil of Summers, Gust of her own, that kind of stuff. Maybe not so much the Gust, but, you get the idea. There's green cards, Broker's Charm. You can bring stuff in.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. Yeah.
How much she wants, who knows?
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get this right. Players still shuffling up. I'm ready. I'm sure the viewers are ready.
Yeah.
Oh, what? Wait a second.
What? I know you're not a pile shuffler.
After all of this, Raja
gotta count
decides
the deck.
the time is now to pile shuffle.
I pile shuffle after every sideboard. Okay, Joe, here's the tech. Every time you do heavy sideboarding, or even no sideboarding at all, you should shuffle your entire sideboard in, right? It's easy to make mistakes with cards when you do that. You should pile shuffle between every game because you're shuffling your whole sideboard in, except Kahira. No.
If you're an up and coming tournament player, if you're getting started, you're starting coming at Magic, do not listen to what Drake Sasser just told you. Do not do that.
Every game, just don't put it one card at a time. It's so slow. Go faster.
Even if you're going to sideboard all at once, you still don't need to pile shuffle. You can just count your sideboard and then look at the floor. And there's nothing on the floor and your sideboard is 15, you're good.
Oh, that's a little sus. If I saw my opponent looking at the floor after every game, I'd be like, Judge, please, what is happening here? My opponent's got stuff going on.
Looking at the floor is important. I once had in a Grand Prix, a judge walked up and was like, is your deck 59 cards? And I was like, no. And they counted it and it was. And I was like, what happened? They're like, you left a Jace under the table of the feature match area last round. And I was like, okay.
An expensive card to leave under the feature match area.
I know, right?
Too. That's not one you'd want to leave behind.
But even then, and then my opponent's like, is that a game lost? And the judge is like, no.
Oh, really? That's fine. Yeah, I like game logic, especially when you told me no. Yeah. Like, you can tell me no? All right. Prove it then, tough guy.
I thought for sure I was going to lose the game on that one. But, all right. So Raja is now shuffling regular style, we call it riffling. Yeah. So, okay. Pile shuffling completed, riffling, shuffling on the way, presenting. And now we are ready for game 2 of match number 2 of the finals. We're
finally ready for some more finals action. Hey, also it gives you a little bit of break. I can't understate how much of a toll playing at your highest level every single match takes. It's so hard. Plenty of, couch coaches want to be able to say, oh, I could do that, or why did the player make this, or whatever. You have no idea the mental strain that goes on at a high stakes tournament like this, playing all day, having all these players around you watching, having, the multiple thousand people that are watching right now on Twitch watching you. There's so much on the line. Mm-hmm. And so, some of these situations you get into, you need just a quick breather. And Jesse had one coming into the finals. Raja, not so much. So giving yourself a little bit more time to, crush your T's, dot your I's, all that kind of stuff, and give yourself a little bit of mental break. Playing control decks every single round is immensely taxing.
No, I agree. It certainly is. I don't know if you saw this or not. I remember during the World Chess Championship, I think the previous cycle, an article was written that super high level chess players during those events, they can burn 10,000 calories a day sitting in a chair playing chess.
Yep.
Yeah. So
a lot.
I'm surprised we didn't have to have a dinner break in the middle of this match.
I'll tell you what, I left every single tournament hungry, very hungry. Did some damage at some restaurants.
All right, we are
passing
underway.
The turn. Wooded Foothills, the crack for turn 1 for Jesse.
And it's tapped. Okay, Stomping Grounds. No Ragavan here.
Maybe Ragavan, maybe shortcut Ragavan.
Yeah.
Oh, Haywire Might.
All right,
Hello.
All right. Well, that's a pretty anemic attacker, but it's something.
What is that for? Dress downs?
It hits Leyline Binding. Could hit Dress Down. Yeah.
All right. I mean, it attacks, pressures Planeswalkers, adds to the artifact count for your constructs.
Sure.
I don't know. That's kind of what I did kind of expect to be sideboarded up, but I guess there's enough cards that it does hit incidentally. Plus, it's just an attacker that Jesse's like, sure, why not? You can get the job done. You carry a Shadow Spear just fine.
Yeah, that's certainly true. Obviously, it's not an ideal opener, but it can get in some points.
Yeah, I can't even hit Dress Down. Yeah, so it has to just be like Leyline Bindings and Chalice if it's still in the deck. Charleston's here, I guess, is pretty good. as a Scalding Tarn deployed. No Ren and 6 this game. It's been a big part of the fair plan for the Team of Breach deck. That's been the big innovation for this tournament. You know, Jeskai Breach was kind of the name of the game previously. Jesse did a lot of tearing up NRG events and other events with the Breach deck all across 2022. And, you know, now for the NRG Championship, we have brought Green into the mix for Ren and 6, help out with the fair plan, knowing there was going to be a lot of fair matchups. And they've been really, really good. Extremely impressive across every game we've seen them.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Raj again passing, but with Archmage Charm available, I guess he does have green mana. If he can snag the Haywire Might, maybe he can blow up something of Jesse's later on. That would be kind of brutal, especially if Urza Saga comes into play here.
Yeah, that's part of the strength of the card, right? And part of the reason I think it was even included to begin with is Jesse is fetching. Also, this Team of Breach deck, this splash, I keep talking about how the splash is really powerful, but certainly not free. We've seen Sagas struggle to help cast stuff alongside basics, but also the damage Jessie does to herself with her fetching. This is one of the matchups where it matters the least.
Yeah.
And it still feels like it has mattered with some of Raja's plan flashing in things like endurance and, you know, the various elementals and just starting to lay the smackdowns. Jesse's lost full turns off of fetching and shocking. Definitely not a free splash.
I suppose. I mean, I don't know. I mean, when you're losing, when you don't get your turn 9 and die in turn 8 instead, I don't know that we've really lost all that much. But okay, it's certainly there are times it's going to matter. I can't disagree with that. Yeah.
You heard it here first. Joe Lissette, not a Time Walk fan.
I mean, if you have the cards to win the turn before, you don't need an extra turn. No.
Okay, just win, forehead.
If you
why take more turn when win do just good?
Yeah, precisely. That is exactly the mindset I'm trying to convey here with my play.
All right,
yeah,
Joe.
we don't need this stuff.
Maybe that's why. One day I'll be like you, but for the meantime, I need multiple turns to win the game. If nothing else, as here comes the very powerful 2-mana Planeswalker, Rin and 6. We'll see if Raja has any interest in allowing that to happen. Plenty of options to counter it. Card has been annoying in the past, somewhat innocuous now with only fetch lands in the graveyard.
Mm-hmm. It is in there. All right, he lets it in. So yeah, that's a sign of respect there. Certainly, just that he wants to be prepared for future cards, as he's not going to expend his mana here. He may just be looking to draw 2, though.
Yeah, I think so. That's something we've seen Raja prioritize really heavily with his mana, is just getting the card advantage going. And I think that's what we're going to see here as well.
Right.
Yeah. Wear Tear picked up. Woo.
Yeah. Nothing doing with that yet, but there is a Urza Saga in hand. So picking off Haywire Might and Urza Saga, I mean, the Haywire Might is just kind of a free. Although, how easily do we even have red? No, we do have red mana, don't we? Yeah, okay. No, it is there.
Well, blowing up, it's weird too, because blowing up the Saga isn't exciting with a Ren in play. Like, sure, cards to do that, not really where you want to be.
Yeah, it's a setback though. If you do it before the chapter 1 trigger resolves, then it does basically wipe out most of Jesse's turn.
Extremely true as well. And Raja doing a big think on the turn. We see he has a land drop for turn in the form of an island. Can cast, I think, his entire hand, including the Fuse of Wear and Tear. So kind of just trying to map up the next few turns and see exactly what kind of threats Jesse may be posing and what kind of mana he wants to have up to answer it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't really want to fumble it with this many options in hand, seeming like you have most angles covered. Tough spot. Flooded Strand. This is a prismatic ending. Likely why we let the Ren resolve.
Yeah.
Fetch land not worth a lot. Removal spell may be worth less if you counter the Ren.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, seems reasonable. Get that sorcery speed removal spell out of the way. Save the counters for other things and things that can be kind of dastardly, like stealing this. I don't know. I'm interested in this Haywire Might. I mean, I'm worried for Jesse from Jesse's perspective. This seems like a liability just having it in play. As it can be stolen, and then, if an Urza Saga goes down to that, that's
we've seen Raja with more juicy targets than a Haywire Might with Archmage's Charm, and still electing to draw cards. I feel like you have to feel pretty safe on that one.
Yeah.
Also, notably, not running the Haywire Might into the 3 open mana last turn. I think there's a lot of respect for some potential flash elementals in the form of endurance. Now, with only 2 mana up, does get busy.
All right, here's Saga. We only see 2. Let's see. We have Saga in play, and then we're going to see Fable as well.
Yeah, could have responded, like you mentioned, to the trigger, elected not to. As a result, going to be able to play Fable, 1 mana left over, representing potentially something like Veil. Don't think she has it now, but haven't gotten a great look.
Yeah, but she doesn't necessarily have to have it because Raja has to respect it. And he knows it came in last match. So even though he has Dovin's veto, I mean, he may not be willing to run this into it.
Yeah, it's really tough with only 1 counter spell up. I think even something like Dovin's veto, like she doesn't need to have Spell Pierce or whatever. Veil still just stops the Dovin's veto. So maybe willing to take the risk anyway.
Yeah, he may just not want to give up. I mean, the Veil's gonna. I mean, I think it's pretty easy to argue. Well, Veil's gonna get me at some point.
Exactly. So, yeah, it's going to be good. Like Veil of Summer, good against control. Getting it out of the way sooner rather than later has some merit.
Yeah, and so here is the veto, and she
does have it. Dovin's veto going to be stopped thanks to Veil of Summer. A counterspell usually pretty hard to stop. Veil of Summer going to get the job done, and a Goblin Shaman added to the mix. Wow.
Okay.
Timely Veil of Summer.
Yeah, productive turn for Jesse Robkin for sure. And now Raja, I mean, had to know that was a possibility, and just decided it was worth, his expensive mana. He's got plenty of cards. Losing the Dovin's veto, it doesn't cost him all that much. And unless you have a Teferi in hand, the Veil of Summer is, going to be good eventually. So running into it now versus running into it later.
It could be worth it. The problem is now all of these cards, have some amount of into this battlefield effects. Like Fable has gotten, work taken care of. Saga now representing to go to work, making constructs. And with those sweepers available for Raja, Dress Down kind of functions as a sweeper as far as construct tokens go, but there's plenty of other relevant cards that are not construct tokens in play right now.
I mean, Wear Tear.
Don't have land number 5 for Solitude.
Wear Tear is almost a sweeper right now. Gets 2 things.
Kind of. Sure. There's more than 2 things that are problematic on the board, though, Joe.
Yeah.
And Raja agrees. Dealing with kind of a tough one. I can't get a great look at the left 2 cards. Island, and I just don't know what that farthest left card is, but we do know Solitude, Wear Tear. I think there's a Broker's Charm too.
Mm-hmm.
All these cards are very expensive. Basically, he has to kind of pick which card he wants to play. Not really in double spell territory just yet. Maybe I'm wrong, as here comes a 1 mana card, and it's going to be Tear.
Oh, the Haywire Might's right there. You don't want to just kick up and take down the Haywire Might? And Raja says no.
No, leave up Archmage's Charm, Broker's Charm. But, I mean, that does tell Jesse something, right?
Yeah, you're right. It does. There's certainly information that she can pick up from there. Discards 2 lands, or rummages 2 lands to the Fable. That's certainly nice.
Yeah, that rummage mode's so powerful. Yeah. And reaching for mana, looks like Expressive Iteration pulled to the front. Maybe looking to do a little cantripping.
Mm-hmm. So do you Expressive Iteration pre or post combat? I'm not sure that it makes a huge difference, but you force Raja to spend mana. I suppose if you're worried about running into an Endurance, casting Iteration first makes a lot of sense.
Unholy Heat gets turned online to the Expressive Iteration going to the graveyard. So if Endurance comes down, I want to be able to Unholy Heat that one with the trigger on the stack.
Yeah. And Iteration does resolve.
Iteration resolves
through counters. So that's always nice when you can run something like this into a counter and you get to resolve. Because your opponent is afraid of
Saga what you have. Put into exile. Yeah. Well, all right. Yeah, it's the first one. Here's number 2. Saga enters. Ability on the stack. Could respond here. Based on the posturing, maybe will. Broker's Charm could go after that Saga right away. Raj did a good job of keeping the first one in check.
Mm-hmm.
And we are going to allow that first ability to resolve. I think negate. Wow, Jesse's hand. I got like a brief glimpse there. It looks pretty freaking good. Yeah, there's the negate. No, thank you on taking my token. Instead, I would like to get more mana, please, and more smackdowns through both the Goblin Shaman and Haywire Might.
Yeah, just one negate in the deck, but certainly Jesse got value for that one. And Raja drops
draw step, another Solitude. And I mean, now do we have to start considering like things like Bai Kahira and start pitch casting? I mean, we're behind if you're Raja Sulaiman. Patience is something that Raja has no shortage of. So yeah, we're just going to see a land pass the turn, but it's hard to deny it. With these sagas, multiple sagas ticking up on Jesse's first main phase here, it's a tough spot if you're Raja.
Yeah, it's worrisome. I mean, obviously hard casting Solitudes would be great right now, but I agree with you.
Right.
It is a little precarious unless you're doing an end step.
Yeah, and there's just more going on for Jesse. Like, she has more in the tank. It's not like, oh, I'm behind and Jesse's out of gas. Jesse just has a handful of gas as here comes the first Solitude. Gonna see exactly what this decides to do. Did wait till combat, so a treasure did come. That one flashed in for full retail, 3 white. Powerful elemental incarnation from Modern Horizons 2. Has lifelink on its own. Gonna exile Reflection of Kiki Jiki on ETB. That's gonna go to exile there. 2 life points for Jessie's trouble. And we'll see if she wants to remove this Solitude before blocks. Looks like she does. Solitude gonna hit the bin. And 3 points coming across. So no lifelink, huge if you're just on the beatdown plan, right? If you're Jessie and saying, all right, like you're at 8, I'm very quickly assembling a lethal attack force. I have to imagine that keeping these Solitudes from blocking is going to be an instrumental part of her game plan here.
And here's another Urza Saga. So Raja really in the market for dress downs now in the future. No need quite yet, but
very soon.
Yeah, very soon.
on order, please. Back order for dress down. As here's Broker's Charm, potentially looking for that exact card. Aether Gust land the Broker's Charm cycles.
Wow.
I'd be excited if you're Jessie to see that one cycled main phase, huh?
Yeah, sure, definitely. Yeah, Raja's going to pack it in. Okay, well, we are going to see Pioneer.
We sure? Well, no, yeah. I mean, you have to switch formats. That's right.
Yeah,
so
you do.
Even though Raja able to pick the play draw, we're going to rotate to Pioneer. And Jessie, a reverse kind of sweep on that matchup there. As far as Modern goes, like Raja chose that format first, was on the play, got rewarded with a match victory. Jessie did the same, rewarded for a match victory, potentially speaking to how close that matchup is, and potentially also speaking to some of the information that Jessie might have learned about how that matchup plays out, adjusted and rewarded with a very quick 2-0 as we shuffle up for match number 3 of the finals of the NRG Championship. I mean, could it go any other way, Joe?
No,
I mean, we're gonna have
it certainly could have, but we're trying to do our best to provide value to the viewers. And so, the players probably cooperating without even knowing it. But yes, excellent. Pioneer on tap. So if you haven't been with us, it is going to be mono white humans in the hands of Jesse Robkin versus a black red mid range for Raja Sulaiman. We will have the finals, third match of the finals, the final match. Of the 2020.
The final match of the finals, final everything. It's determined by this match. One match of Pioneer. All of the work so far has brought it down to this: an NRG Championship 2023 invite, $2,500 on the line in one match of Pioneer. I tell you what, the nerves that they would be getting to me if I'm sitting in that seat. If I'm either player, the nerves would be starting to get to me. And we will have that match for you very, very soon. If you are sticking around, thank you so much for watching. We have some exciting magic coming for you soon. Please hit that follow button. And in the meantime, we're going to go to break and get these players ready to play their final match. This is it. Final match.
Yeah. It's all on the line here. Tell your friends, tell your other Magic. Tell people that don't even like Magic. They should come in here and watch. It's all on the line. We'll see if we can break the NRG viewership record. We'll see who takes home the trophy, Raja Sulaiman or Jesse Robkin. They're at the table. I think they're ready to go. We're playing Pioneer, best out of 3 games to determine the 2022 NRG champion. Drake Sasser, you're here with me. This has been exciting. I think we agree that Rakdos mid-range is a little ahead. But
with the caliber of player we're working with here, I mean, a little is all that you have to work with. Raja, truthfully, being on the play, probably a little bit more valuable than any kind of like deck building advantages he's going to get. But of course, being the higher seed due to his performance in this tournament, going to allow him, I believe, to play in this match of Pioneer. Did not get to pick the format, does get to pick play draw. Certainly going to pick the play if able to do so against this mono white humans matchup. And Jesse Robkin, teammate of Andrew Ellenbogen this weekend, who she felled very, very earlier, I guess a little bit earlier in this tournament, able to potentially take it home here on this match. One match of Pioneer determines the 2022 NRG champion. And, you wouldn't want to have it any other way. Clean sweeps, boring. Give me that final match. Give me that tension. Let's do this.
Yeah, I mean, we've had 2-0s in both of the first 2 matches. No one has won a cyborg. No one has won the main deck game on the draw. No one's won a cyborg game on the play.
Yeah, it's strange, right? Like you're talking about, okay, they've been clean sweeps, but it's been the same matchup.
Yeah.
So like, what happened?
Yeah. All right. Well, that just goes to show the margins are slim, and we are underway. Blood Crypt versus the Plains 1 trap. Okay, 2-power 1 drop. Good start for Jessie. Her creature's likely not going to be too long lived if Raja has anything to say about it.
Oh, for sure. And I think I see a Bone Crusher Giant right there at the ready. See exactly what we want to sequence the mana. Gonna flip this pathway to the black side. Fire off the Stomp, targeting Recruitment Officer. Adventure Zone, thank you, Table Spotter. Appreciate that. Second Planes deployed for Jessie. See exactly what her turn 2 looks like. Turn 2, a really critical turn for the Mono White Humans deck, and a great turn for her. Thalia, Guardian of Thraben, worth quite a bit against the Rakdos mid-range deck, taxing all of these removal spells that Raja has access to. You see right there, First Strike, no slouch, able to attack through quite a bit, but non-creature spells costing 1 more is certainly the draw to this card. If we want to remove it, it can get quite expensive. We'll see exactly
and
what Roger wants to do about that.
Having a capable attacker on this turn is nice for Jesse, because with the Adeline follow-up, you really want to be able to have something you can send in the face of something like a 3/2, a 2/2 from the Fable, or from the all of a sudden I forgot the name of the blood creature. Blood Tithe Harvester. Blood Tithe Harvester, there you go.
Well, I think Raja actually had a potential turn of like Fatal Push into like Misery Shadow, just get a blocker going.
Yeah.
Like had the ability to do a 2-spell turn, but Thalia really showing its power can't actually, do that quite yet. But so I think, as a result, Raja decides to just play Bone Crusher Giant instead, which could halt the assault. But if Jesse has something like Luminarch Aspirant, Thalia's Lieutenant, any of those cards, the attack is still on the table. As Hopeful Initiate, first card deployed, 2 mana tapped, and it is Thalia's Lieutenant. Nice. So an attack once again in the market.
Yeah, so Adeline has to wait, but Thalia can attack through the Bone Crusher Giant, and the first damage comes across. And Jesse's board already, 3 creatures wide. Thalia's Lieutenant can certainly grow, especially with Adeline. And Raja's going to have to get going here. This Bone Crusher Giant, it's a big body. It trades with most things, but damage is going to start piling up.
Blocks things well, like Hopeful Initiate 2/3, not able to really attack through that one too well. Now, Adeline would allow Thalia and the Thalia's Lieutenant to attack into the Bone Crusher Giant without it being a disaster. But, Raja has access to a lot of removal spells, so it's not really clear exactly if Raja's going to tap all of his mana on his main phase here. Might. A lot of Sorcery Suite things going on. I think I saw Blood Tithe Harvester. It's probably worthwhile to get into play, but, has some options. A lot of spells here. Fatal Push going to come down right away, targeting the Thalia. That one's going to hit the bin. Blood Crypt going to be shocked.
That is nice. That keeps the Hopeless Initiative from being able to attack next turn. And here is the Blood Tithe Harvester, like you said.
And back to Jesse we go. Now, you have to bear in mind, both creatures in play right now, red. So even if the attack is halted for the moment, there's a universe where Jesse could just build, that something like a Brave the Elements could just kill Raja in one huge sweep as Adeline is immediately played. And we'll see if we want to send any amount of the creatures.
Yeah, so let's see. So Lieutenant attacking in would trade for either creature, and then the token would get swallowed up by the other one. So is Jesse willing to trade Lieutenant for whichever creature Raja thinks is worse? And she's giving us some thoughts.
Yeah, it gives Raja a lot of options, which as a result kind of inherently feels bad. As soon as your opponent gets to make all the decisions, I think you're in a little bit of trouble. So I wouldn't be surprised to see no attacks here. The attacks just give so much leverage for Raja to be able to decide how he wants the game to go. And that's not at all what I think Jesse wants as the turn is passed back. Raja untapping. Another Blood Tithe Harvester among some other spells in hand. Can't get a great look.
Second Blood Tithe Harvester is pretty nice because it will allow the first one to take down the Adeline as the first blood is still there. Now, maybe Raja respects the possibility of Jesse having Brave the Elements. Maybe not. Also, Misery Shadow in hand. So a pair of 2-drops joining the board would certainly not be a bad turn.
Not at all. And especially with Misery Shadow, kind of giving you some amount of insulation against Brave the Elements, able to at least block the biggest thing if that does come down to it. But if nothing else, Blood Tithe Harvesters do kind of just represent removal spells. They're blockers, they're removal spells, they kind of do it all. And with 2 blood tokens, now we're in the market. To go for the Blood Tithe Harvester on Adeline. Gonna use the Brave the Elements defensively.
So that will,
respond with Doomblade, the full art one from the Magic Player Rewards. Going to take care of the Adeline anyway, but that does cost Raja quite a bit of resources, his entire turn, and quite a bit of resources just to trade with a Brave the Elements and an Adeline. So kind of players going back and forth here.
Yeah, so we're where we were last turn. And whatever Jesse commits to the board here, the Blood Tithe Harvester probably can remove in the future. Here's a Thalia. All right, Lieutenant gets bigger.
Yeah.
And so now with the 3-card creature, Hopeless Initiate can swing in also.
Little bit
So-
of trading action. How about that mechanic? Hopeful Initiate gets another counter. And now blocks start to look a little bad for Raja. Probably interested in playing off the Blood Tether Harvester anyway, as that one can be sacrificed at any time for a removal spell. Seems like that's something Raja was interested in, at least in the previous turn. But what to do with this Bone Crusher Giant is still a big question mark, I think, if you're Raja. That's maybe what we're thinking about here.
I think you can't block both because then you get decimated by another Brave the Elements. So I think you block one.
I think so too. And that seems to be where Raja's landing. Block the better of the two, which seems to be the 3/3 instead of the 3/4. Of course, Thalia's Lieutenant's ability to grow bigger does make it worth quite a bit. So you're blocking their best creature with your worst creature. And that way, Brave the Elements is mitigated a little bit. Jesse thinking here.
I think Raj is the one that's still thinking. Yeah, Raj is still.
Oh wow!
How he
Yeah,
wants
Raj is still thinking, and maybe he's just saying, whatever on second Brave the Elements. Maybe attempt a block. No, see, you can't block like that if you're doing it.
No, I think the priority changed. Well, I think Blood Tithe Harvester is worth a fair amount with 2 blood on the board. So maybe thinking if I can save that to kill anything really. So let's trade off the Bone Crusher for this Lieutenant.
Yeah. And Raj's life total at 15, still relatively healthy, so can afford to use. And there is the Brave the Elements. Wow.
Okay.
Still willing to cash that one in as a removal spell. Get to continue to push the advantage. And Thalia going to be worth quite a bit now with Raja having to use, a lot of mana. I mean, even right now, look at that Dreadbore, right? Like cost 3 mana. Can't play that and Misery Shadow in the same turn. This Thalia is going to be a thorn in the side of Raja going into this turn. Now, Blood Tithe Harvester could take care of it, but that's another removal spell you have to use.
Yeah. Although Blood Tithe on... let's see, Blood Tithe on Thalia, and then Dreadbore Lieutenant, and then cast Misery Shadow. I mean, you're going to take some damage next turn, but you stabilize the board, and Jesse has no cards.
Right.
And with 2 blood on the
has
board...
a Mutavault dialed up.
Yeah.
Raja, I mean, fairly low resources too.
Yeah.
Like if you exchange all your resources, everyone's down to nothing.
Right, but Raja should draw better because of having 2 blood on the board. So...
There's potential for that.
Trading everything off seems... decent if that's something he can make happen.
Well, I think he can. We'll see exactly how he wants to navigate that. May start with Misery Shadow here. 3 mana. Oh, maybe gonna cast a Dreadbore. Maybe actually trying to say, I think Thalia is your worst card, and I want to kill some of your other larger creatures. Because you can pick off all of the big creatures, leave just the Thalia, and then that leaves the least amount of power in play.
That's true. That's true.
Then you get attacked with that and Mutavault 4, go down to 8 on a 3-turn clock, but have Misery Shadow dialed up for the following turn. Can crack a blood too. I don't know. A lot of options here. As we see Dreadbore going after Hopeful.
This does not feel like a very clean decision for Raja. He was even thinking about as the card was on the board. Okay, so
the slow-mo Dreadbore, kind of a dead giveaway there. And Misery Shadow, the last card in hand was a land. So Misery Shadow, Thalia, and Mutavault kind of going to face off here. Now, you did mention the blood token is going to be worth quite a bit here when it comes to top decking time. That's where we're at right now. Land drawn. Going to have to imagine that one's going away quick.
Misery Shadow's a 2/2, correct? That was...
Not totally sure.
I believe it's a 2/2, not a 2/1. I think Raja gave away an attack there, or a block by casting... Well, I don't know. We'll maybe that's incorrect. I guess no, since he didn't want to kill the Thalia. I was thinking the Thalia got killed anyway. It didn't. So yeah, never mind. He didn't do anything wrong there.
Yeah, Misery Shadow. Yeah, and plus you can pump it up later, block basically anything. And Blood Tithe Harvester, a great pickup for Raja off of Blood here. See exactly. Yeah, Thalia's Lieutenant.
Nice.
Activate in response to the trigger. We got to see that happen. And Crunch.
Yeah.
Now this is a big attack. Wow. So Thalia is hard to block. The question is, are we trading with Mutavault? Because you have to give out the Blood Tithe Harvester, which is one of your best answers to the Thalia, and you don't want to do that. Misery Shadow is the thing you want to exchange probably with the Mutavault, given the current board state. I mean, it's such a tough top deck. Thalia's Lieutenant, very much what the doctor ordered here, I think. And yeah, this is just a tough spot. Raja does a great job of preserving his life total so far this game. Going to block. Yeah, and then we're going to be able to pump.
Yeah.
And then we trade, but Thalia gets through, go down to 5, and something like an Adeline could potentially represent a enough to get over the line here. We have
Yeah.
one blood token left. Raja has draw steps, but Bone Crusher Giant. Wow.
Oh, that is a nice one.
That's
Certainly.
another good one.
So do you Blood Tithe Harvester the Thalia Bone Crusher Lieutenant and then play Bone Crusher on an empty board?
I like that, and I think so does Raja.
Yeah, that's going to be the decision.
Yep. There you go. Bam, bam. All right, back to top deck mode. 3 lands left for Jesse.
Yeah.
Draw and just a pass of the turn.
Give Jesse a lot of good draws either. Like you're saying, Adeline would have been great if there were still creatures on the board. Now it's not even all that significant. And here's
Ganjo, see ya. Bone Crusher going to hit the bin. And back to Jesse. All right, getting a little more equity out of her lands. Able to remove what is actually a pretty big threat. Not sure if you're ever supposed to hold black and block, but I think you do need to end the game at some point, does Raja. But that feels a little tough getting your Bone Crusher Giant picked off by the Ganjo, seat of the Empire. And looks like Brave the Elements, one of the cards in hand. Don't get a great look at the other one.
Well, something with the power and toughness of any number would be ideal here. Raja did not immediately blood away his card, so it's certainly.
I think it's a removal spell.
Okay, yeah,
it looks like a Fatal Push.
It's unlikely to be a land if.
For sure, yeah. Let's see exactly what she wants to do. 2 mana here, going to be worth. I feel like if you're thinking this much, it has to be something like a Thalia's Lieutenant, something that could get better later.
Sure, that would be reasonable. Although it's hard. I mean, an empty board I don't know that you hold back even. I mean, Raja's at 5. So
right, and there is Dauntless Bodyguard. Okay. Follow up is the Thalia's Lieutenant. So choosing to make a 3/2 and a 1/1 versus the other way around, making a 2/1 and a 2/2. I think this is kind of the right way to do it. Dauntless Bodyguard is the worst card, and you want that one to be the one removed first. But of course, Raja's top decks do not stop, as I believe another Blood Tithe Harvester picked up to pair with the current removal spell he still has. So staying alive here. I mean, been bleeding life total, using it as a resource, but Raja, like you mentioned, more likely to have better top decks, but the top deck's been pretty nice to Jesse too. Despite drawing a few extra lands, was able to cash out the Mutavault and the Iganjo so that she's not flooding out, still on 3 lands, but gonna need to keep those good top decks coming, I think, if she wants to turn the corner and actually slam the door in this game.
Yeah, so I mean, Raja's only at 5, but it seems, I mean, if Raja has much of anything here, this 5 seems far away. And he has to, the blood token on the board, Raja still has to have meaningful cards here. You're right, it is Blood Tithe Harvester.
Blood Tithe Harvester number 1. Get a good look at this powerful uncommon from Crimson Vow. 3/2 ETB, make a blood token, and of course, sacrifice it only as a sorcery. Give a creature -X/-X, where X is twice the number of blood tokens you control. Extremely powerful, multi-format staple, I'd say, as Blood Tithe Harvester going to trade away for the Dauntless Bodyguard. 4th land, the follow-up, not the one you'd want to see. Thoughtseiz's picked up, not what Raja wants to see. Have to imagine we're going to see that one hit the pin right away.
What
there
format,
it goes.
What other format is Blood Tithe Harvester and All-Star in?
I think, isn't it busted in Standard? Alchemy?
Standard isn't a format anymore.
What, Joe? Okay, look, Joe. A lot of people play on Arena. I know we're not watching Arena. I know you don't play Arena. A lot of Magic players play Arena. And we draw and Castle Ardenvale.
That's nice. Oh, wow.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
if you're gonna draw a land, I have to imagine that's the one you want to see. As the token was made after blocks, gonna make a token. Raja, not messing with it. Get that one out of here. Not going to take 2 damage. No, thank you.
Yeah, the power of the utility lands. This is the 3rd one for Jesse Robkin. The Mutavault and the Iganjo both did work, and now getting in there for with the castle tokens, Raja's down to 4.
Attacking is just still going on.
Yeah.
Jesse's flooding out, I'd argue, and attacking is still happening. Really showing the power of these lands, and more removal spells drawn. Not going to be very good against Castle Ardenvale, and Raja really needs to find a creature and fast.
Yes,
Jesse very quickly making another token and untapping.
In for 2 is too good. Oh,
this
feels token.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta do it, but
yeah.
Wow, that sucks.
Ooh,
as here's Hopeful Initiate the follow-up.
And that's a 1-drop. So this is lethal attack presented next turn from Jesse if Raja has nothing.
And it looks like 3 lands in hand.
Oh my goodness.
I think he's just dead. Wow. Just expertly navigated by Jesse, using every single resource.
Oof,
look at it, all lands. Despite the blood tokens, all lands, and Jesse able to pick up game 1 on the draw against Raja, despite all of those removal spells, these utility lands. Wow. Honestly, wow. Iganjo mattered. Mutavault mattered. Castle Ardenvale was broken. It's just an incredible performance from the mana base of the mono white humans deck.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Really, it looked a little dire at the beginning, but then sure turned around at the end. All right, let's go ahead and pop up the deck list so you can see what is in store here, sideboards and everything. Raja Sulaiman, Rakdos mid-range. Didn't see much of the top end of his curve that game.
Yeah, definitely true. I mean, something like a Shieldred right at any point is exactly what the doctor ordered.
Yeah.
Was not able to find it. I'm sure those are going to be staying in. As for sideboarding, looks like that Ray of Enfeeblement, it has Jesse and Andrew's name on it. Of course, Jesse no longer in. Ritual of Soot has to be pretty attractive as well. Rending Volley, plenty of removal spells that you can board in for some clunkier removal spells. Checking things like Thalia, going to be part of the mix. Extinction Event. I mean, you have options, right? Like, I don't know if you want Liliana of the Veil as much, but a lot of sweepers, a lot of really cheap removal spells you're going to use. And I think overall cards like discard spells and some of the more expensive non-creature spells, things like Fable of the Mirror Breaker, are less exciting in this particular matchup.
Perhaps. All right, let's go ahead and look at Jesse Robkin's Humans deck list, the one that was brought by herself and Andrew Ellenbogen. You see
Absolutely.
there.
What do you like here?
Yeah, let's see. We like wedding announcements. I know that.
Sure. Yeah, that card seems good. A lot of value to be had there.
Yeah.
Outside of that?
Yeah, I feel like that's the only like guaranteed winner. Certainly there's other things that we could see.
Yeah, the question is, how much do you value your own removal, right? Like Brutal Cathars. I mean, certainly cards like Shieldred are just backbreaking and going to take over the game immediately if you don't have anything to answer. So maybe you reach for Brutal Cathars. I don't know how much more you want to go on that versus just blowing the doors off of Raja. But especially on the draw, I mean, you're not really going to be able to do that as much. It's tough. I'm sure Jessie has it figured out. Has played infinite matches. She's the expert, not me. If I had to guess, I think the wedding announcements are winners. Probably not going to reach for too much else.
All right. Players are shuffling up. Yeah, I mean, maybe you want more outs, like you're saying. Maybe you want more Roster Shieldred or Graveyard Harvester. Maybe you have some things you want to trim. Maybe you don't want as many 1-drops. Maybe I don't know, Extraction Specialist seems like a winner. You definitely want to keep that. Keep the
yeah,
Avalanche.
definitely. I think that card's good.
Yeah. So if you're going to cut something, is it Hopeful Initiate maybe? Is that if you're going second and you're having a harder time attacking, maybe that's not as easy to get going. And Raja's going to power shuffle again, so we'll have more time to talk about this.
Don't sound so tilted, Joe. I'm telling you need that little bit of break. Take a breather.
Yeah.
Calm your nerves. And we got full elbows on table action from Jessie too. So basically she's unbeatable. Look at this posture.
Unbeatable. Maybe she's taking a nap while he shuffles. I mean, this has been a long weekend.
Like, is that what you do when you have no room to talk? You were the slowest player in the universe.
What? No chance. No way. I mean, yeah, maybe that was true 10 years ago, but come on, things have changed. I'm at least like 8th slowest nowadays.
Oh, okay. There's competition. Either way, I mean, definitely going to be interesting to see exactly how this matchup plays out. Jessie was able to steal the first game of the final match on the draw. Thanks in part to her utility lands. We'll see if she's able to accomplish something like that again. Your players looking at opening hands.
If she's going to win longer games, that's probably leveraging those lands is going to be a big part of it. And she does have Iganjo and Mutavault in her opening hand here, I believe. So we'll look at what Raja's looking at. Raja, this is the first time in the overall match, that Raja's been behind.
Yeah, absolutely. He came out strong. With that first win in Modern. Jessie has done a great job battling back, as we said she would need to, and Hopeful Initiate, the turn 1 play, stomp available for Raja this turn. But yeah, for the first time, Raja suddenly has to be thinking, dang, I'm not ahead anymore. As here comes a very powerful turn 2 play in Luminarch Aspirant.
Yeah, and Raja being on the play in this game, already spending 2 mana to kill a 1-drop, so really ceding the advantage right off the bat.
For sure. We'll see if he continues to push the advantage. Something like Fable the Mirror Breaker available, but does not trade at all with the Luminarch Aspirant. Something like Bone Crusher Giant might prevent an attack for a turn, but we'll see exactly what Jessie can assemble. She has, potentially multiple spells that can be deployed starting as early as turn 2, certainly on turn 3. Raja giving his turn a very, very long think.
Yeah, so last game we saw Bone Crusher come out on turn 3. Here it's going to be a second Bone Crusher going into the Adventure Zone, so keeping Jessie's board clean for now. Ooh, I think Extraction Specialist might be in hand.
Oh, a Action Specialist. Let me tell you, I don't know. Have you heard about this card with Luminarch Aspirant? Have you heard of that synergy? Like good deck building?
I think it's pretty solid. I think it's pretty solid indeed. Growing up a lifelinker, getting a backup creature on the board, 2 Mutavaults.
One that doesn't have to attack or block to get value.
Yeah.
And doing so as early as turn 3 is nasty in the red-black matchup. We'll see exactly how Jesse wants to sequence his turn, but if there is indeed an Extraction Specialist, that one pretty darn good card. And I think a big part of the decision to have that one of in the deck was to get a little bit of extra value against fair decks. And we are going to see Wedding Announcement deployed. This is out of the sideboard, one of the big ones.
Yeah, this is certainly a nuisance on both halves of the card, front and back, making tokens or potentially drawing cards later in its existence and then flipping over into an Anthem effect. And there's no answer to that for Raja. He's just going to have to deal with it.
And this is another one of those cards, just a ton of text and 2 sides of text. And the Fable of Mirror Breaker, kind of the first one we talked about. Wedding Announcement worth a ton. Going to make up to 3 different tokens. If Jesse elects 2, she can choose to attack with 2 creatures, get a card instead. But have to imagine getting the board something that she's going to prioritize very heavily as we tick up on the Wedding Announcement. And then eventually, like you said, you make every single one of the creatures it made quite a bit bigger by flipping over to a Glorious Anthem, an extremely powerful effect as Fable of the Mirror Breaker deployed for Raja. That'll stop the march of these little 1/1s made by Wedding Announcement for the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, certainly. It will. We'll see temporarily. If there was an Extraction Specialist, then maybe this token would want to actually get in there with the Luminarch counter. We'll see.
We'll see. Indeed, a lot of spells in Jesse's hand, so have to imagine there's quite a few options this turn. Maybe a little more white mana intensive than others. The 2 Mutavaults in play might be hindering some of the development.
Mm-hmm. I thought I saw Aganjo in the opening hand, so she may just be trying to avoid playing that and give herself a chance to draw planes, but I could have been incorrect as well. We'll see.
I mean, for sure, we've seen her use of the utility lands be a big factor in this matchup in the first game. So, I'm sure that's going to continue to be the case as Aganjo is deployed as a land, decides she does need that mana. There's 2 mana tapped here for a Thalia's Lieutenant.
Ooh, well, okay.
Activate both Mutavaults. Let's grow those on up.
These are going to be some big Mutavaults once this Wedding Festivities comes into play, comes out the party.
4/4s in the mana base. And here comes a rattle for 2. And now Raja, who had a great blocker for 1/1s just a second ago, no longer does. This is a trade.
Yeah, kind of a free card for a free card. And both enchantments going to generate more value. But Jesse's certainly building a bigger board presence than Raja at this point. And yeah, the late game with those 2 Mutavaults that are going to be 4/4s, have to figure the late game is going to maybe favor Jesse.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when you have 4/4s hanging out in your mana base, and I mean, Raja has creature lands too, but those take like 4 mana to activate. Mutavault cost 1. And is a big part of the power of these low to the ground creature decks is having these cheap creatures you can get out of the mana base as well, and growing them up with something like Thalia's Lieutenant. And of course, the Wedding Announcement is going to grow the Thalia's Lieutenant as well. This is just a ton of board that is just growing as the game progresses naturally, which is nasty. And Raja, choosing to preserve his life total a little bit, going to trade off tokens as we move to the second chapter of Fable. Jesse, of course, making a token, growing the Thalia's Lieutenant. Not going to miss any of that. This is high stakes time. Can't miss that. And she says, hey, your thing rolls up. Raja says, yes, it does. Yeah, it does. I'm thinking about what to discard.
So these Bone Crushers can like trade with the Mutavaults later on, but it's just going to take an awful lot of mana and time for Raja to get all that on the board. And Rending Volley gets discarded. What
does it say when Rending Volley hits the graveyard? I think that means those Mutavaults are scary.
Right, it can't kill Mutavaults. No good.
Jesse looking to be ahead in what might be the final game of the finals. I mean, Raja wants to force a game 3. He's going to have to find an answer to these lands very quickly as Bone Crusher Giant is deployed.
Yeah.
Now, if he has time for reflection of Kiki Jiki to come off the backside of Fable of the Mirror Breaker, he can start making copies of things like Bone Crusher Giant and blocking. So Jesse going to need to close the door in this game, I think, over the next few turns if she wants it to end soon.
Yeah. Declaration in Stone in hand. That would be pretty brutal if Raja spends another turn deploying Bone Crusher Giant. See if she even wants to wait that long. Maybe want to just fire it off now.
I mean, yeah, firing off now, firing up one of the Mutavaults would be brutal. And at work here is Luminarch Aspirant. That grows up the Thalia's Lieutenant. And of course, can grow once it goes to combat. See if she wants to deploy more creatures. She sure does. Here's Hopeful Initiate.
Well, that's an answer to the reflection if that becomes an issue at some point that she can't deal with. But yeah, this board presence is mounting. And this lieutenant.
Counter to Lieutenant from Initiate. And then Luminarch counter should make it a 5. And
Yeah,
we'll
I mean-
see. I think there's some kind of conversation about where we're at.
Okay, I mean, Raja, I believe, has a Fatal Push in hand, but that doesn't even begin to solve his problems.
Yeah, there's problems in the mana base. There's problems in the enchantment area. There's problems in the creature zone for sure. And Fatal Push does not that much. And we're talking about, I think there was some communication about what exactly Luminarch did. When it entered, you said counter for Luminarch maybe or something like that. And yeah, it looks like we got it all cleared up. Counter for Luminarch entering, and then of course counter for combat and attack. And that's where we're at. And now we're going to do a chump block. And is that it? No Fatal Push? I mean, Rending Volley would have been good here. Take care of that, but God, there's just so many problems.
How could
Raja now suddenly kind of back against the wall?
Yeah.
He needs a sweeper, but even a sweeper leaves you taking 6 off of the creatures.
how
8
could,
if this thing flips.
I'm astonished that that's the block. It just maybe it's not a Fatal Push. Maybe he's still got some cards in hand. Maybe he's got, I don't know. He's still at 20. Both players are still at 20 actually.
20.
All right, Reflection is in.
Reflection flipped. Yeah, Raja has very, very highly valued his life total. And I have to imagine there's got to be a sweeper somewhere in the mix to be making these kinds of trades. You're just in so much trouble if there isn't. And even something like Reflection of Kiki-Jiki plus Blood Tithe Harvester, those 2 cards, I mentioned before, they very strong in multiple formats, and that synergy very strong in multiple formats. Not going to begin to solve the problems.
Yeah, and that's great and everything, but that's okay. There's Ritual of Soot.
There is
All
Ritual
right.
of Soot. Yeah.
All right,
So
that
the
explains.
sweeper had to be involved for
it
that
had
block
to
to
be.
make sense,
Yeah.
and there was. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so now your Ritual of Soot. Okay, great. Now you're going to get smashed by these Mutavaults. Although the Fatal Push being safe for the Mutavault now makes a lot of sense. Jesse did not. Yeah, still has the Decoration in Stone in play. Here's the Extraction Specialist that was in the opening hand, I believe. So this is going to rebuild the board fairly quickly.
And the patience on this Extraction Specialist as well. Going to bring into play a Thali's Lieutenant, going to respond by activating a Mutavault. Putting a counter on Specialist and on Mutavault. We'll see if Raja wants to cash in that push now. I think he does. Yeah, he sure does.
Yeah,
that Mutavault going to hit the bin.
Gosh, I mean, okay, gets rid of the bigger Mutavault, but he's still got plenty of work to do here.
Oh, yeah, there's just more problems. And Jesse's not even out of cards yet. She's used her mana base once again to very good effect, exchanging those with some of Raja's cards. And yeah, the Extraction Specialist looking awesome here alongside, the Mutavaults and various of the cards she has in hand. Go for the throat. Looks like it's about to go for one of these creatures' throat. Maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, Raja with plenty of life total to play with and cards in hand still. Certainly, or we're talking like Jesse's on the verge of winning this, but yeah, he may have something to say about that. He's still got plenty of resources to work with. Bone Crusher Giant in the Adventure Zone.
And shout out to Raja, right? Like Raja's cards have looked way worse than Jesse's. Just turn after turn, Jesse's had impressive turns, and Raja's done a good job weathering the storm, maintaining a high life total, and kind of just exchanging resources. It helps too that he's more or less stopped on 5 lands, hasn't really drawn a land again after hitting 5. But Jesse in the same boat. Players going back and forth here, making Jesse earn this one if she's going to win it. And we'll see exactly what Raja comes up with here. But that sweeper, that Ritual of Soot basically had to happen, right?
Right.
Like, there was just so much going on, but Jesse's leftovers are still very powerful.
Okay, here is another Blood Tithe and the Bone Crusher. So board rebuilt.
Recruitment Officer looked to be the draw. Recruitment Officer Adeline and Declaration in Stone, the leftovers. And when it comes to attacking and blocking, I feel like this flipped wedding announcement here is going to be a big deal. Because normally Bone Crusher Giant, Blood Tithe Harvester represent pretty good blockers. That high power represent quite a bit. But with Adeline, for example, having 5 toughness, big deal. As here comes Extraction Specialist.
Yeah, this
is going to make a human and grow the
this lieutenant. If this Extraction Specialist ever dies, which seems likely to happen, this lieutenant is going to be massive by the time that happens. It could trade off this turn. It almost has to, actually.
I think maybe not. Maybe Raja can look to draw more sweepers. He's got blood tokens and stuff. Can start to use the life total as a resource. Has done a good job preserving it thus far. But yeah, I do feel like you need to start doing some trades here. Maybe Raja disagrees. Looks like maybe just blocking the token profitably and taking that first hit. See if there's any more effects. No more
Yeah,
effects.
that's pass.
All right.
Yeah, let Jesse will gain 5 life. I mean,
Yeah,
that's,
bonk.
yeah, that's a good chunk. That's a 10-point swing right there, just on that one creature connecting.
All right, and a draw step. Didn't get a great look from Raja, but yeah, I mean, I think there's another Blood Tithe Harvester that can help solve some of the problems. But I mean, there's just so much toughness on Adeline, and now that Go for the Throat that he saved, very patient with. So shout out to Raja. I mean, the patience is just immense on all of the spells he's cast in every single format we've seen him play. His patience with his interactive spells is why he is here. It's why he's sitting with the ability to be your NRG champion. But first, he's going to have to flip the script on this match so far. Jesse already up a game, been looking ahead all game. He's done a good job treading water, but once the hits start rolling in, as we've seen with that 5-power extraction specialist, they come in big.
All right. Well, certainly spent a minute pondering his turn here, trying to figure out, I mean, not just what to play this turn, but what sequences of stuff, what cards need to be played in order to recover the next few turns. Even sweepers here are still leaving him behind. Here is the other Blood Tithe, like you mentioned. This first one can kill what? Thalia's Lieutenant, and that's it?
Yeah.
With wedding festivities? I guess instructions. I mean, instructions
I think
specialists
you
are
kill
still
extraction
vulnerable
specialist
this
too.
time.
That doesn't
Yeah.
feel great.
Yeah,
It just,
no,
I mean,
no.
it doesn't really solve any problems. You still have the same number of attackers.
Yeah.
And maybe you just kill them both. No, we're going to go for the Throat the Adeline. Okay. Now we have good blocking force. I think attacking is on the table. Maybe need to get frisky with the first Blood Tithe Harvester. You have another one if you want to block. And you do need to start winning this game at some point. But with Jesse at 25, it feels somewhat risky to start going to business with that.
Oh, if
now.
Raja doesn't expend one of these harvesters, and he's going to do it. Okay. I was going to say, with Jesse having been holding this Declaration of Stone for a few turns, and then potentially getting paid off for Raja doubling up on a creature, but no, he's going to sacrifice here, so that's not going to be an option.
Yeah, that definitely part of the mix, I'm sure, is playing around with the Declaration in Stone that Raja does know about in the deck list. Does not know that she has it in hand, I don't think. But still some good attacks here. I mean, if we Declaration in Stone the Bone Crusher Giant, and if we have like a land too, we can maybe get Mutavault involved. I don't know. There's some good turns available here. Chefnet Dunes, the land for turn. Another utility land for Jesse. 2-mana tapped. See if Declaration in Stone time. Kind of feels like it has to be. Get that Bone Crusher Giant out of here and get a big attack rolling through.
Yeah,
that is what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. So she can shrug off the life loss here without any real difficulty.
yeah, at 25. Yeah, okay, I'll take 2. We're good to go.
Mm-hmm. And attack
and
in.
There's Mutavault. Bonk. That's a 4/4 Mutavault. And that's the 5-power extraction specialist. And Roger's like, yeah, no blocks. Bonk. And attack for 8 down to 6. Can't take another hit like that.
No, indeed. And
Bone
Jesse whenever Jesse draws another land, she has a recruitment officer that can get played and then activated immediately.
Yeah, and the first activation may just be the one that determines the winner of this event, as Blood Tithe Harvester going to pick off the extraction specialist now and Shieldred the card for Raja. That seems to be what the doctor ordered indeed. Jesse going to take a draw step. Damage doesn't matter as much as the life gain.
That's for sure. Is that an Adeline?
That's an Adeline.
Okay,
that's a recruitment
that doesn't
officer.
I guess drop them both. I mean, holding them doesn't do much good right here. There's no attacks.
Yeah, I think you definitely want to deploy both of them. Start looking at Brave the Elements as a lethal attack. But with 2 blood available, I mean, Raja, and 2 blood and a clue, Raja can actually just gain a bunch of life out of his random innocuous artifacts that are off to the side there.
Yeah, there's certainly, he can catapult his life higher at any point here. He looks, I mean, it's still going to be tough to survive at Brave the Elements if he doesn't kill anything because of that wedding festivities. But it's possible. And if it just stalemates here, I mean, I guess Raja will just gain life and Jesse will activate Recruitment Officer. So,
yeah, I think he still has that Bone Crusher Giant. Stomp on Recruitment Officers appealing. The question is, do we want a Bone Crusher Giant afterwards? Not sure. I mean, Shieldred, if it left in play, I feel like it's just going to begin to take over this game. So the question kind of too becomes, if the Shieldred's removed, what leaves me just not in a lot of trouble?
How likely is the Shielder to get removed? I mean, it could get Skyclaved, it could get Cathard, and that's it. Probably, unless Destroy Evil came in, which that's
Yeah,
pretty.
I feel like if you're
iffy.
already maxed out on Cathars,
Yeah.
you have your Skyclaves, and you're bringing the Deck and Stone, maybe
Yeah.
not interested in the Destroy Evil, but I
Yeah.
mean, once again, not the expert here. And Shieldred is one of the more relevant cards in the matchup. We did call that out during the Cyborg games. What are we doing here? There's a lot to think about. And I mean, I think Raja's kind of piecing together the same thing. It's like I mentioned before, these artifacts off to the side worth a little bit of life gain if needed.
Mhm.
So that might help mitigate something like Brave the Elements.
Boy, the emotional swings in this game or in this match also. I mean, Jessie,
it's been an incredible match to say the least.
Seemed like she was on the verge of winning, and now this Shielder is kind of slamming the brakes on that, and now Jessie empty-handed looks kind of stuck at the mercy of the deck or of and here's
Bone Crusher Giant. So a little bit of insurance against Brave the Elements, two different colored creatures on the other side of the field. Adeline still in play, probably one of the better creatures in Jessie's deck. Does need to get this Shieldred answered and fast, though. So we'll see what she drew. Thinking about the turn at the very least. What was the draw? Jessie doing a lot of thinking here. Currently, the attacks look pretty bad. Castle Ardenvale. We saw that one basically steal game one. Looks good here too. I mean, being able to make 2/2s matters quite a bit as we pass the turn back. Of course, Raja's still gaining life, and Rending Volley and Takanuma, the two cards in Raja's hand, not irrelevant. If we manage to answer this Shieldred in some way that leaves it in the graveyard, Takanuma can buy it back. But might be time to start going to work with these artifacts, giving Raja time. He's going to recover his life total.
Right, he certainly is, and quickly too. And I mean, with Takanuma is discounted right now. Maybe he wants to crank that off, but just drawing off the clue is also okay. It's going to actually blood and pitch the Takanuma.
And Fable the pickup. 2 life coming. I didn't see a life total adjustment. Did we miss that? Oh no, we didn't. Stack was not empty. Raja at 12.
Yeah, putting Fable out there just to continue to grow the board, put more stuff in the way of potential Adeline attacks with a flood of castle tokens. I mean, I don't know. This is the longer this takes, the more Raja can just hold off Jessie. Obviously, he's going to gain 2 life a turn. Like you said, her losing 2 life a turn is almost irrelevant, but padding his life total is certainly good news for his chances of winning.
Absolutely. Yeah, the question is when does Raja start attacking? Jessie's still at an extremely healthy 23. We know that there's like ambush attackers that face up via Castle Ardenvale that come in as 2/2s. And like the question is, you start attacking, Brave the Elements gets more scary, but your life total is already being recovered quite a bit. Where do you strike that balance of starting to turn the corner and attacking when it's correct to do so? And it looks like the answer might be right now. Of course, Shieldred can attack into the 5 toughness Adeline because of Death Touch. Because that card needed more words on it as well.
But he plays the Fable. Yeah, I mean, that Shieldred could attack there, but it was if Jessie decided to try and kill it, I think it would have died. I don't know that Raja's last card in hand is a removal spell. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I thought. Let's see. Attacking land drawn for Jessie, but of course, we've seen plenty of help out of the mana base already. Think attacking is still a dead end for the most part. You do get another 2/2 thanks to the Adeline if you attack, but still there's not great blocks with the Shieldred Bone Crusher thing going on. Are we attacking anyway? We sure are. Hello, here's another human.
Well, so this Bone Crusher can't get in front of this Adeline, right?
And she can trade with the Shieldred because she can make an Ardenvale token, animate Mutavault, and then we're good to go. And I think, Raja sniffs that out, sees what's going on there. Going to put the Shieldred in front of the token, and then what? Take 5? Yeah, I mean, Raja has more life to work with now. Or not 5. Obviously could be up to 5, but Jessie deciding maybe not to move. Hard to tell.
Yeah, with her hand, or she could also just animate Mutavault, I guess, to get through another point.
Yeah, I think we're explaining here. After blocks, I have effects before damage. And we may be unclear where the priority is. Yeah, animate the Mutavault with itself. And yeah, make the Ardenvale
so
token.
max
And there we
out.
go. Full 5 coming through.
Is that 5? It might be 6, right?
Oh yeah, with the 6 with the
Yeah.
wedding announcement. I totally forgot about the glorious anthem that's been an incredible part of this game. Totally slipped my mind as the board is once again filled with creatures for like the 3rd time this game.
All right, so that's half of Raja's life gone, although he obviously will get some back. Jesse does lose a token.
Yeah, getting quite a bit back. I mean, if you just discard both cards, and yeah, the last card in hand was a Rending Volley. It looks like a land there too. Can't imagine we're discarding the Rending Volley, but yeah, you never know. We'll see. Second trigger. Yeah, looks like just the pathway hitting the bin. Card coming. And we're going to gain 2 life for that. Still have a blood and a clue. So 4 more life at the ready right now. So virtual 14. And we're going to cash out on some of that. Draw a card, gain some life. Don't get a great look at that one. Maybe a Graveyard Trespasser.
This is quite a game.
Yeah. No kidding.
Yeah.
We're into the late turns where Raja feels like he should be in a commanding position. He's had Shieldred in play for, I think, 2 full turn cycles now.
Mm-hmm.
And still, Jesse has found a way to stay in this game. Just truly masterful work, really.
All right, so if it is Graveyard Trespasser, that's additional life gain, additional points off Jesse's life, which still looks pretty comfortable. And Shieldred looks like it's going to attack again.
Yeah, I'd hate to be either of these players' notepads in this game. Life total changes abound. As Shieldred maybe finally getting busy.
And it'll slip through, so Jesse will take 4.
Blocks.
Yeah.
Only a 4 power Adeline right now. Offered the trade last turn. Did not accept it this turn, as it looks like, yeah, it is a Graveyard Trespasser added to Raja's field. A good blocker, and as you mentioned, going to be able to gain a little bit of life from the Interest of Battlefield ability. And with Jesse kind of on the I'm activating Ardenvale every turn train, also very likely to flip. And then it becomes a great attacker that does even more life gain and all that stuff. Yeah, give a good look at the front side here. 3/3, ward, discard a card. Not sure how interested Jesse is in targeting it anyway. Enters battlefield or attacks, exile a card from graveyard. If it's a creature, each opponent loses a life, you gain a life. And of course, the backside is Graveyard Glutton, same ward ability, but this time you can exile 2 cards from graveyards. You can split it up, and for each creature exiled, you lose 1, gain 1. So a 4/4, much better attacker, a little bit more life gain available as Adeline comes a rumbling across the battlefield once again. Human token coming across. Dauntless Bodyguard deployed. Have to imagine that one named Adeline. Not a lot of other good targets.
And that allows potentially Shieldred won't be able to attack anymore because Adeline could just block right at that point and kill it.
Yeah, and with Mutavault up to activate as well. Ardenvale Tricks still available.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just tough. Yeah, this Shieldred's going to be put on the defense once again. And with Dauntless Bodyguard on Adeline, you kind of have the Abyss running, right? Just being able to, the creatures are going to have to get in front of this Adeline eventually. This thing is going to grow and grow and grow. And then
Raja has to block. And also, Jesse's board is slowly growing. The Adeline tokens keep getting killed, but the castle tokens are there. And there's a Chef at Dunes. So at some point, all these tokens can get bigger permanently, which, I mean, that has to take, obviously Jesse would have to take a turn off, but there is, more additional damage available at some point if she thinks she can break through.
And this Reflection of Kiki Jiki does threaten to be a little bit of a problem if this game continues on the course it has been, which is Jesse, of course, slowly rebuilding her board, slowly trying to overwhelm these extremely powerful creatures on Raja's side of the field. Reflection of Kiki Jiki does threaten to, be able to produce duplicates. I mean, thing like a Blood Tithe the Harvester has ever created, that's a big problem. Graveyard Trespasser can start attacking and doesn't actually have to get through to deal damage as another cycle happens. Shieldred number 2 picked up. Thankfully, Legendary. Can't deploy that one if you're a Jesse Robkin fan. You got to be excited to see that.
Yeah, I mean, boy, it does. What are we? Okay, Raja's at 10. Jesse's at 14. Still has time left, and Raja's life total is kind of just not really going anywhere. Who's winning this game?
Tough. Attacking seems, I have no idea. Attacking seems like a dead end for both players for the most part right now. I mean, Jesse has been rattling across with Adeline, but I think that's going to come to an end here shortly.
I mean, Raja could conceivably attack with Shieldred. Jesse will maybe block, and then Raja will trade the Shieldred for the Bodyguard, and then deploy the new Shieldred. I mean, that seems possible. Because
the thing is, if he has a Rending Volley, I feel like you just want to clear this Dauntless Bodyguard sooner rather than later.
Maybe.
And then you can just have the Shieldred represent to finally get this Adeline off the board.
Sure.
Not really sure, though. We'll see exactly what he wants to do. Looks like a land enters tapped, and we're going to pass the turn, and day will flip to night, and Graveyard Glutton will be on the battlefield. Card drawn from Jesse. Did get a great look.
It's another Chef at Dunes. So,
are we in drawing to brave the elements for a kill territory?
Well, there's 2 of each. There's 2 black and 2 red creatures on the board. So, I think Raja could survive if it happened now. 3, barely.
Activate Chefnet Dunes. Attack, make tokens, then
Oh,
brave.
no, you're right. Yeah, you're right. The Adeline token would be enough.
Chefnet Dunes number 2.
Yeah. That's kind of a blank.
Okay. Is it? Because maybe we can do 2 Chefnet Dunes turns back to back.
Maybe. That's hard to, yeah, that's possible. Okay, maybe that is what she's thinking.
I mean, I don't hate it.
Yeah.
Like, just make a bunch more things and just clear this board on up. Mutavault fired up. 2, 3. Chefnet Dunes number 1 gonna get cracked. And yeah, now there's a lot of power on the battlefield.
Now we need more dice.
It's not even dice, it's not even counters. You just have to know, Joe.
Yeah.
Just figure it out. As these humans now 3/3s. Adeline, a 6 toughness creature, going to produce a 2/2. That one doesn't get the Chefnet Dunes buff, which may matter. Haven't done any of the math. Jesse says, I mean, math is mostly for blockers. Thinking on attacking with a Dauntless Bodyguard? And maybe that's the beauty of this attack. It's all just kind of scraps. It's all just tokens that you've made, not really cards, and you just get to keep the Dauntless Bodyguard in the background to keep the Adeline alive if things start to go wrong.
Maybe, but if the chance the Bodyguard needs to get sacrificed anyway, then may as well attack with it, right? I guess by existence, maybe Raja won't even bother killing the Adeline, so it doesn't matter.
And you make the block happen of Shieldred on Adeline this way, right? Because like you can just chump block the Dauntless Bodyguard, and then maybe you get to line it up a little later turn. Whereas the Shieldred, if you're going to make that block Adeline, like if you want at least for Raja to start to get through the Adeline Dauntless Bodyguard problem, it needs to involve a block with Shieldred. But it looks like we might just be blocking to keep Shieldred alive. There's a lot of conversation going on, and this is just a nasty board state. These are the kind of board states people were referencing when they were talking about, Arena on a phone sounds like a nightmare. It's like exactly for these kinds of scenarios.
You know what? I'm impressed. Jesse didn't think about this for all that long. She drew that Chef at Dunes, thought about this for probably 20 seconds, and was like, okay, I feel like I'm confident. I know what my plan is, and I'm getting in there. And we're gonna see Raja sort out the blocks here. Looks like
this is an attack for 3, 4, 5 plus 3. I have 8. Dauntless Bodyguard maybe making the difference here in what matters. Now we do know Raja still has a Rending Volley somewhere. Says, okay, been so patient with this Rending Volley.
Well, it kills a token, and that's it, really, for most of the.
Now with this block, right?
Well, no, I know.
Kill the Adeline.
No, it's different now. Yeah. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. And Jesse thinking about, Raja thinking about something. See if he wants to move and go down to 2.
It seems safe for him to go to 2 at the moment. I mean, he'll go back to 4, and then potentially, yeah, okay.
Oh, Raja was explaining that I think he has lethal on board. So with this block, with the block, he actually could just Rending Volley the Dauntless Bodyguard away, which is why we left it back actually as a blocker.
Yeah.
And that allows Raja to actually just win on the crackback, which incredible. I wasn't even there yet. I wasn't even trying to figure out what Raja should do. And he's already like, yeah, no, you're dead.
No, yeah, it definitely was. There was some risk there, certainly. With the Shieldred trigger still happening, with Graveyard Trespasser being on nighttime and attacking in, being able to drain 2. Yeah, it looks like that was enough. Jesse was at 12. Dropping to 10, I guess, on her next turn. So yeah, that was
exactly. You only need the Trespasser and the Shieldred, and that's it. That's 12 right there. So masterfully navigated by Raja, able to, instead of just using the Rending Volley to tread water, able to use it to specifically win the game. And nasty. And as a result, we get the final game of the final match of the finals.
We maxed
Everything
out.
comes down to one game of Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
And absolutely, I'd love to see it. Can't be any other way.
It's super exciting stuff. I don't know. Do we need to see the deck list again? Does everyone know the deck list already? I don't even know that we need to see them.
Well, let's look at it one more time.
All right.
See if there's any adjustments that need to be made. We got to see a little bit of sideboarding as these players are shuffling up for a very high stakes game of Magic. We got to see some of the sideboard cards come into play big time for Raja. Ritual of Soot, Rending Volley among the mix there. We did still see Fable the Mirror Breakers in the deck, so not entirely sure what we shaved on. Maybe Cruxes, Misery Shadows, things like that. Not totally sure, but the sideboard cards coming up huge. Ritual of Soot came in right on time. And of course, Raja navigated the board state beautifully to take full advantage of that. I imagine we're going to see more of the same on the play. But I think where we could see some more changes is in Jesse's deck. If we transition over there, we saw cards like Declaration in Stone, like removal spells, stuff like that. I have to imagine the wedding announcement's still good. Right?
Yeah, I would think. The Shieldred kind of, the Shieldred derailed the entire game for, the Ritual of Soot and the Shieldred were really the significant cards for Raja. Everything else was just kind of staying even, and then those generated the advantage, allowed him to win. So there's no answer to the Ritual of Soot, but are there additional answers? We don't know how much she boarded, but are there additional answers to Shieldred that she might want, she might have access to?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Gosh, Brutal Cathar is once again the only one I would really even reach for. And even then, I feel like my answer for Shieldred personally feels like it should be Brave the Elements. All right, you played Shieldred, good for you. You spent your 4 mana on one creature, Brave the Elements, name black, kill you. And if you can't line that up, the games have been really grindy. Castle Ardenvale's been an overperformer in both of them. Maybe that's not realistic, but I just don't know how much you can commit to slowing your game plan down to have the removal spell at the ready when Shieldred does come into play.
No, that's totally reasonable. All right. Well, we've got one game left. We will await Raja Sulaiman's pile shuffling festivities and then get things rolling. Now, I guess while we're waiting, we can put the prize pool back up online. If you're just joining in, you can see what we're playing for here. There's $2,500 on the line difference between first and second. So we don't know whether the players are playing for all of that or if the split has been softened somewhat. But we do know the winner is going to earn an invite to the 2023 NRG Championship. And I think, Drake, everyone watching can agree that both of these players would very much like to have that wrapped up.
Oh, absolutely. I think both of these players that have made a deep run in this tournament so far, definitely interested in coming back next year for the 2023 championship. And that is quite a bit of equity to play a single game of Magic the Gathering for. So the stakes are high, and both players have worked immensely hard to get where they are now, to put themselves in the position to play a single game for such high stakes. It's very rare in the average Magic player's career you get to play one game of Magic for so much equity, and it is a really cool thing to be here for. I'm glad we have everybody that has been watching. If you've been watching all weekend or you're just joining us right now, I'm glad you're here. You're here to watch the finals. And if you enjoy what we have put on for you here, please make sure you follow, subscribe, support NRG so we can continue to have this awesome event and all this awesome coverage that Norm, the team at NRG have put together for you. But thank you for sticking with us either way. It has all come down to this one game. And based on how the first two games have played out, I couldn't even tell you, who's going to win. Jesse lost on the play, won on the draw. I have no idea who's going to win. The games have been razor's edge close, and in some spots gnarly, hard to navigate. And for these players to be able to do so after such a long day is extremely impressive. Again, I can't really understate that at all.
Absolutely. No, fatigue is definitely going to be playing in here. And also in addition to, the invite and the money we talked about, there's also just the pride that goes along with, winning an event. Obviously making the finals of an event like this is an impressive achievement, but the difference, in the future, when you're looking back, the difference between getting first and getting second is significant. That's not something that when you're polishing your trophy shelf or something or other, it's what, I did this. I can look back, maybe, in the future. So for some players, not going to be nostalgic about things like this. Some players, don't even care about keeping the trophies. I can see you have yours in the shelf behind you there. And I
definitely agree with you. I think hoisting the trophy is a big difference versus not. Mutual friend of ours, Tanner Grace, can attest to that more than anybody else, I think. has quite a bit of complaint equity that he makes sure to flex when the time is appropriate. And so, like you said, getting so close. It's often said, I think, that making the finals and losing is almost as bad as scrubbing out, if not worse, because you get your hopes up. You're like, I've made it this far. I want to win. I want to host the trophy. I want to win all the spoils. And you fell short by one game in some cases. And that's going to be the case for one of these players.
I'm not with you on that one.
I am. I'd rather scrub out and enjoy my day than make the finals.
Okay.
Every event.
Well,
no, I'm good. I'm good.
But
it ain't worth it if you're not hosting a trophy, Joe. It ain't worth it.
Well, okay, sure. I mean, so yeah, all right. I mean, there are going to be people that feel the way, and I understand that. But no, yeah, certainly whoever loses this match played great this weekend, played great this year, and certainly has an achievement that is worth being proud of. But that's for the loser
in front of so many people here in the Twitch chat, everybody, the awesome show and all the work that all the players in the championship have put in, really do come down to this final moment. And that's part of what makes it so special. This isn't a 1-day thing. This isn't a 2-day thing. This is an all of 2022 thing. All these players have put their blood, sweat, tears, travel, all that. You hear the stories nonstop. It's such a big part of what makes, tournament series so special. It's what makes this event so special. And yeah, like I said, it's so cool to have it all come down, all funnel down to a single game of Magic, a single match, a single game of Pioneer. And, it's a lot of work to get here, and it's well worth it. I think you ask both these players, they've got to be stoked to be here. And as they shuffle up for their final game that they're going to play of the day, max total games they could play for the most part, impressive stuff from both players, playing tight even now at the very, very end. It's been incredible to watch. It's been an honor.
Yeah, no, it's been very cool. All right, now Drake Sasser, I have a question for you.
I have answers for you.
Do you think a player who pile shuffles should forfeit the right to take a break to go to the restroom? I mean, come on.
Joe, we're talking about anarchy here. This is ridiculous.
We're waiting.
I'm sorry. You pile shuffled for exactly 4.8 seconds. Do you think you're going to go to the bathroom?
No.
Here?
You can't do both.
No.
You can't do
Absolutely
both.
No.
We need new societal standards to account for Raja Sulaiman. But
the pot kettle, please. I'm begging you.
Drake,
a little
again,
bit of self-awareness.
I don't know what you're All right, we do have both players.
Gets out of the match for Joe.
We do have both players back at the table now, so we can go ahead and go down there, I suppose. Now they're going to consult each other's sideboards. All right, we're still not ready to go.
We got to get look. There's a lot on the line, Joe. There's a lot.
There absolutely is. All right, so
let's give the players some time that they deserve.
They can take as long as they want,
no matter how many pile shuffles there are.
Let's bring up the schedule for the first part of next year while they're still working on sideboarding. So. If you're enjoying what you're seeing, if you want to make a mark in your calendar, whether you want to come out and join us or when you watch at home, we appreciate you either way. First 3 events next year. NRG is taking 2 months break after this championship. We'll be back in late March, Mundelein, Illinois. Then in May in Minneapolis, and then June back into Mundelein. So those are the first 3 events next year. If you want to put a mark on your calendar, now the pile shuffling marathon begins. All right, so. Question from the chat. What airport is closest to Mundelein? It is probably O'Hare in Chicago. It's not really too far away. It's probably on the verge of 15 or 20 minutes. It's really pretty convenient. It may even be less than that. So while Drake composes himself, and
we're taking questions from the chat now. Fire it off.
We have got time, okay? We have got time. What else do you guys want to know?
You have any questions? Ask us anything. AMA, pile shuffle's happening. Joe's losing it. Just ask us anything. What you got?
All right. How about this? Who chat? Who do you guys have as the winner of this? We got 1 game left. Who are you taking? I want to see some responses in there.
Look, not to be biased, I put all of my channel points, which I have a lot because I keep Twitch chat open while doing commentary. I have a lot of points, not to, I'm channel rich, but I did put them all on the line for Jesse. So I got a horse in the race here. I got a little bit of equity here. Jesse, do me proud here. I got a lot of points on the line.
All right. Here we go. Opening hands have been drawn. I've been corrected. Apparently it's not 15 minutes. It's more like half an hour, whatever. It's not that far. It's not that inconvenient. Just except in the winter when it might be snowing.
An hopeful initiate deployed on turn 1.
Excellent. We're underway. Okay.
Yeah, here we go. Hive of the Eye Tyrant. Save us from our own sanity. Goes back to Jesse. Turn 2, critical turn here. What's the play? It's Athalia's Lieutenant, That's going to upgrade the hopeful initiate. See if there's any responses. Handful of removal has Raja.
Yeah, well, that is basically the way this deck operates, is it not? Does he have a turn 1 removal spell? He does.
He does, and that's a great spot to be as another land picked up. A lot of black sources.
Yeah, do we have red?
Yeah, if we don't have red, then some of these removal spells just don't
I
work.
think we do.
Oh, we do have, we have the Haunted Ridge there, so we are going to have an untapped red source on turn 3, and an attack with Folly's Lieutenant with nothing pre-combat, maybe representing. I would say Wedding Announcement is the card, I think, that is the most scary if you see that.
Yeah, so the way that Raja dealt with this in game number 2 was basically by having Ritual of Soot to clean up the mess that it left behind. Here's a Thoughtseize. Well,
so those Shieldreds, let's talk about those.
Yeah,
how they are not staying in play this game.
Boy.
2 Destroy Evils, 1 Declaration in Stone.
This is probably not the way that Jessie planned on drawing up her cards, main deck versus sideboard. We're seeing 4 sideboard cards already. Okay.
And how late to the party is this Thoughtseize? If you could tag that Wedding Announcement, God, I'm sure, Raja would have loved that. Instead, it's going to do a lot of work to carry Jessie's offense as she is able to put up a good defense here with the Destroy Evils as the first human token getting busy, doing a single point of damage. Follow-up play is a Recruitment Officer.
Okay. 1
land away from activation there as another token joins the fray.
All right. A lot in plenty of scenarios, the tokens from Wedding Announcements are probably equivalently valuable to the cards. In this scenario, I'm sure Jessie would love to be able to actually attack and pick up a card at the end of next turn, although we'll see if Raja allows that to happen.
Yeah, well, Shieldred's not getting in the way. I'll tell you that right now.
No, it's certainly not. You would be unwise to play that, to commit that to the board right now. Okay, Bone Crusher takes
Recruitment Officer hits the bin thanks to another stomp. Can't play the Bone Crusher Giant, maybe even somewhat constricted on red source. I mean, I'm sure Raja would have loved to have a red land there, deploy one of the Bone Crusher Giants and start blocking. Not able to do so is Raja. Now, Jessie kind of has the option on board if she wants card or another token. Yeah, we're thinking about it. Pre-combat, no card for you. Not going to give you the option at all, says Raja. Go for the throat, targeting a human token. Can't be super excited about that, as Dauntless Bodyguard's going to protect the other human token as the final one is made, and the Wedding Announcement is going to flip to the festivities. +1/+1. Going to Glorious Anthem the entire table. 2 removal spells. She's leaving those revealed. They're face up. Wait, what you got? I dare you. Put a creature in play. Let's get a look. This is about as this has got to be at the bottom of the range for Jessie opening hands here, but we're still in this. She's still got chances. She's still got live attackers. As Dauntless Bodyguard. I mean, you can trade offering the trade here. Yeah, trade a 1-drop for a 3-drop. Not too bad. Another land drawn. That's not ideal. Maybe we'll see a Castle Ardenvale would be. I mean, there's plenty of good draws here. Castle Ardenvale is good. Another Wedding Announcements is good. However, Raja's, well, if he's stuck on removal and Shieldreds, I guess he's kind of not going to be doing anything either. Maybe we'll just see their Bone Crusher Giant make his way in. But yeah, Bone Crusher Giant does not have more than 4 toughness, so able to interplay and not be at risk of dying to the Destroy Evils. Apparently, Bone Crusher Giant not evil enough to be destroyed. As we go back to Jessie, didn't get a great look. Maybe in like Ganjo? I think it was an Adeline. Oh, Adeline's even better. Yeah, wow. Okay, so yeah, that one replacing the token that is lost on the attack. So easy attack here. Nice. Yeah, block 1, sure. The other 2 get to get through. That is a pretty. That looks like a pretty anemic attack, and 4 damage just came through. Yeah, not anemic at all. Thanks to, of course, the Glorious Anthem for the Wedding Festivities. And now suddenly, Jessie looks like she may have assembled a little bit of an offense. Now we know Raja has, I think, both a Ritual of Soot and a Dreadbore at the ready. So she's going to need quite a bit of help from the top of the deck is Jessie Robkin. And the game that we saw just a second ago, game 2, where Ritual of Soot was involved and then both players needed to recover, Raja was able to eke that one out. But of course, Shieldred was a big part of that equation. And with Destroy Evils already dialed up for Jessie, it's not really going to be worth too much right now. Okay, so Raja lining up. I mean, if he's lining up an attack, it seems almost certain that it's going to be Ritual of Soot. And I'm sure Jessie will be able to identify that as well, though there's nothing she can do about it to take advantage of it. I guess she could block. Yeah, she could block with Adeline on Bone Crusher. I mean, that feels pretty miserable in plenty of scenarios, but it would be the right decision. That feels good here, right? I mean, if I tough this, I don't know. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Block. Losing it does. I mean, it's kind of weird, right? Because like Raja has to exchange like basically a full Bone Crusher Giant to kill Adeline. Like, is that worth it versus firing off the Dreadbore, especially when you're cut on red sources a little bit? We'll see exactly what Jesse decides to do. Kind of trying to sniff out what's going on there as well. Looks like, yeah, no, okay, sure, whatever. You want to race? I'm winning the race, so we can race. Ritual Soot, the follow-up. Going to blow up all of the creatures.
All right.
Is that another Adeline?
I don't know. I didn't see it.
I didn't either.
I'm sure if it was, it would be on the board already.
Yeah, you don't know that.
Well, I feel somewhat confident.
It's pretty likely. Well, maybe not, as no play past the turn, land drawn. Red source for Raja, not irrelevant. Still, Jesse, plenty of life to work with. Can't be super ecstatic. Oh, and here's Graveyard Trespasser. That's a big ad for Raja. Deciding which creature to munch. No shortage of food for it. Now, yeah, we get to look at Graveyard Trespasser again. This one, a 3/3, but does flip to a 4/4, so it will die to destroy evil if it flips, but then you still have to do the ward, discard a card, and that sucks.
Yeah, that's unpleasant. There's another wedding announcement.
Another wedding announcement?
All right.
Hello.
All right.
Okay. If first wedding announcement's so good, why is there no wedding announcement too?
Yeah, you can't get married twice. What is this?
True. And the human immediately dispatched to the Bone Crusher Giant token. I think Raja may be looking to turn the corner before the second Glorious Anthem can become online and attacking suddenly gets very difficult. This may be the spot where Raja needs to really turn up the aggression.
I agree. Yeah, I'm sure we'll see. Okay, so here is Trespasser coming in for...
Coming for 3, deal an extra point, I'm sure, on the attack trigger. Is that a Bank Buster?
It is.
Did not call that one coming in, but a 4/4 blocker worth quite a bit.
Well, a 4/4 blocker is worth effectively nothing because of the Destroy Evils, but the ability to draw a bunch of fresh cards is nice. And I'm sure
it cycles.
Raja will take advantage
a creature
of that.
if you get it long enough.
Well, yeah, I think he'll have time. And here's
Bone Crusher Giant plus Bank Buster is a pretty darn good turn. Getting a look at that one. Yep, there you go. 4/4 vehicle requires a crew of 3. Enters with 3 charge counters, and of course, you can remove 2 charge counters and do a wall of text. You get to draw a card. Then if there's no charge counters on it, you get to create a charge token and make a 1/1 colorless pilot that gets to crew the Bank Buster. Can crew as if it had power 2 or greater.
A lot of text on that card.
So much text. As we pass back, and Graveyard Glutton is flipped thanks to the day-night transition.
Yeah, another Graveyard Trespasser drawn for Raja. So that's a lot of outside of combat damage available here. This Mutavault can trade with Bone Crusher.
Yeah, Mutavault, not irrelevant, especially with one wedding announcement already flipped, and the second one looking like it's going to get flipped next turn. Really, I mean, Jesse needs to just kind of live through this turn, and the Destroy Evils are going to help with some of that. You know, being able to dispose of the Graveyard Glutton, maybe not at the rate you'd like, but it does get rid of the Graveyard Glutton. But there's still other problems. Bank Buster, going to draw some cards. Bone Crusher Giant still does pressure the life total, but a reasonable defensive force assembled for Jesse, I think.
We'll see. I don't know. This is a pretty intimidating attack here. And it's not just this attack. It's the one next turn as well that Raja's going to have. That seems... I mean, this Mutavault, if he attacks this turn, this Mutavault's going to get expended to trade with something. And here's a draw incoming. All
Activate the Bank Buster. Another Graveyard Trespasser built up. And yeah, if you play those, they're immediately 4/4s. And I think that outside of combat damage matters quite a bit. We're going to combat right now. Going to target that with Destroy Evil, discarding the extra land that was picked up. It's going to mean Graveyard Glutton number 1's going to hit the bin.
Okay. Well, that means Raja doesn't really have as good of attacks this turn. Trading off with Mutavault doesn't seem wonderful. I'm not even sure Jesse would do it, actually, because it would allow...
Yeah, she doesn't know about these extra Graveyard Trespassers representing quite a bit of life and damage. And Raja not even sure if he wants to attack. And yeah, I don't really know either, frankly.
Yeah.
Raja kind of ahead if this game continues as is. Bank Buster going to provide plenty of card advantage, plenty of blockers dialed up, but also, Jesse has some swingy draws that are available to her. So maybe you do need to just get her dead. And he elects not to. And here comes the second Graveyard Trespasser. ETB going to munch 2 creatures and 2 life points gone for Jesse. 2 more coming for Raja.
Swaps from the graveyard to flipping the sleeve. All right, makes sense. And the turn is passed, and Jesse draws. Well, that was not a basic land. That's about all I can tell you about that.
Well, the floor on this turn is another Destroy Evil, hitting the second Graveyard Glutton,
Mm-hmm.
and discarding the card that was drawn if it's nothing. If it's something, maybe you could flip them. I mean, you could flip back if you're wanting to get your Destroy Evil counter. Doubt we're going to do that. If it's like a Thalia's Lieutenant, we could assemble a decent attack force. Looks like we are. Castle Ardenvale. That's pretty
Okay.
good with a second wedding announcement looking like it's going to flip soon. The problem, once again, seems to be like maybe these Graveyard Gluttons are just going to be able to win outside of combat. But
Yeah.
Jesse is assembling quite a bit of card advantage via these Glorious Anthems and Castle Ardenvale. Like, once again, mana base coming in clutch.
Mm-hmm. All right. So is Jesse, did we get the Glutton triggers last turn? Is Jesse at 11 still? Or is it 9?
I don't think so.
I don't think so
imagine
either.
She's at 9.
Yeah, let's see if we can get an updated life total there. But okay, so we have 3/3 tokens. We have the ability to make additional 3/3 tokens every turn, or Destroy Evil plus Mutavault can be activated. But Destroy Evil only valid currently on the Bankbuster if it's animated, not or accrued, not on the Glutton.
Yeah, Glutton next turn potentially. But I mean, even just right now, I mean, activating Ardenvale is worth quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
3/3s are these human tokens now, and those block the Bone Crusher Giant just fine. And we can try to get busy with double blocks and stuff. And we just got an update. The life totals are accurate as represented right now. So Jesse actually has a little bit more life to play with than we had originally thought, which is going to actually be extremely relevant. Every life point mattering here, as Raja has to decide, you know, once again, back against the wall, and this combo of wedding festivities plus the Castle Ardenvale representing to just grind him out, no matter how many cards he gets in this Bankbuster and stuff. I mean, there's just 3/3s coming out of the lands every single turn. And that's worth so much.
All right, Roger trying to determine where an attack gets him, or potentially where not attacking gets him. And choice has been made. It's to draw another card.
Draw a card right away. Yeah, I like, if you're going to draw a card anyway, do it first. That way you have the most options. And oh gosh, this is so tough. Once again, we're at these. This is where really the skill of these championship finalists are going to come into play big time. Is navigating these sticky board states. Each life point could represent the last one that you're going to die with. You know, if you take too much damage, whoopsie daisy, you're dead. But you know, if you don't take enough, maybe you get behind on board and just get overwhelmed later. This is a really tough spot.
All right, so if Raja were to attack now, it's likely he would trade off. That Jesse would trade off a freshly made token and just kill everything Raja has, right? There's no way you're letting anything through. And so Raja would know that.
Right. But yeah, you can't Ritual of Soot because that just blows everything up.
Yeah.
Including your own stuff.
Now, Ritual of Soot seems quite bad now with the castle and the Mutavault.
Your own creature lands can animate Bankbuster. That's not worth a whole lot. This is so tough. And I don't know what the question is. It looks like he wanted.
Okay, now the life totals have been updated again to where we thought they should have been before. So okay.
Oh, I think there might have been conversation about life total updates, and Rending Volley, one of the pickups. That one's potentially worth quite a bit. Taking out one of the tokens. Dreadborn can take care of another token.
Wow.
But that will flip day back to night. And so both tokens gone, can make a token or block with Mutavault. Cannot do both.
All right, so this trigger will drop Jesse to 7.
She takes 4 to 3. And potentially could be facing down lethal with Hive of the Eye Tyrant, and or I think there might have been one more Graveyard Trespasser involved. If that one enters, that can represent the final life points as well. As she lines up Mutavault. And then, we do make a token. So we're able to do both, but you can't block with both. So 4 damage just come through. Jesse down to 3. Raj had a very healthy 17. Big draw step needed for Jesse. Didn't get a good look at all. Day is flipped. Your night's flipped to day.
All right.
And of course, Raja just has
that's a shuffle
that Ritual of Soot in the tank.
Well, yes. I guess we could. No, the Ritual of Soot, how would that even get deployed? I guess he could cast it preemptively and then send in the.
We'd have to play a lot more Magic.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah,
anticipating that this Hive of the Eye Tyrant would be the final point.
Right. Yeah.
Fatal Push helps, but not enough, I think, to get Bone Crusher through right now. Animate Hive and Fatal Push the token. Actually, no, that might just be good enough.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, and here it is.
Here's
It's going to be
attack,
Hive the Eye, and that's going to
it.
be good enough. Jesse shakes hands, and Raja is going to be your NRG champion.
Wow, impressive stuff. That was a battle. Those Pioneer games to end the tournament were so cool, so back and forth, very, very tight. We'll bring Raja over here to talk to us in a few minutes once things have calmed down a little bit over there. But Raja Sulaiman is the 2022 NRG Championship winner. Congratulations to him.
Incredible series from him too. And I mean, just constantly, I would say throughout the entire course of the tournament that, I was able to watch, and that is basically all of it. I think the most striking thing about Raja's performance is his patience in both formats, playing extremely fair decks, Rakdos mid-range and, a Bant control with some innovations of his own going on there. And every single spot where it was like, I'm a big cast your spells guy, and I want to cast my spells. I want to play Magic. Raja was so patient with all of his removal spells, all of his counter spells, making sure that it was the absolute most value you could get out of each and every card. And I think it's no secret that converted nearly directly into a victory here today and becoming an NRG champion.
Yeah, and really, and this was especially apparent, maybe more so to me in Modern. He really knew what he wanted to have happen. There were multiple opportunities where modal cards, it was like, oh, you can steal this thing, or you could kill this enchantment, but you know what? I know what's relevant. Those cards don't matter. I can do it with the other things. I'm going to draw more fresh cards instead and just build up overall resources. And I feel like that's a decision that I feel like we watched a player who really had an idea, had played enough games to understand what winning looks like in different matchups, and was able to kind of angle the game to get to that point. All right, and Raja's ready for us. So let's go ahead and bring him in here. Raja Sulaiman, 2022 NRG
Congratulations, Raja.
Thank you, guys.
You had to fight for that at the end. So we'll have some other questions, but let's go through the Pioneer match at the end first. I mean, that was pretty tight. What was just kind of go over your mindset? Were you stressed? Were you nervous? Were you excited? Were you calm? What was your mindset?
I wasn't nervous. Actually, I was just having a lot of fun.
Okay.
All the games were just like super interesting. Obviously, there's a lot at stake, but Jesse and even Zoe, all my opponents were just like pleasant, and like we were all pretty jovial the whole time. So like it took kind of the edge off, and
Okay,
it was
sure.
a lot of fun. But yeah, that last match was intense. Game one, I thought I was kind of setting myself up for a good end game, and then I just kind of flooded out towards the end, which happens. Game two was also pretty scary. She had the wedding announcement, which is terrifying. I had to ritual set pretty early, and then I was able to kind of just pull away with Shieldred, despite there being a large life discrepancy at one point.
Yeah.
And then game three, I think just her hand was a little bit clunky because she had like triple removal spell when I thought she was there. So I was able to kind of be the aggressor because honestly, with wedding announcement, especially double, the end game starts to kind of favor them, especially when they have a castle that can just generate a card every turn. So I wanted to make sure to kind of turn the corner as soon as I could, and luckily I was able to pull that off. So
yeah, and you did pull it off. So once it's over, relief, elation. What's the? I'm sure. I mean, a lot of the people there. It must have been a lot of good vibes there once you finally get the match over with.
Yeah, it felt good. It was a lot of magic, a lot of fun matches. But part of me is kind of glad it's over. It's been a grind. So
I'm sure.
Talk to me about what this win means to you. I know you and the RIW team put quite a bit into playing all these series events. Yeah, we see RIW Hobbies rocked there, and we see a lot of your players show up, do a lot of winning in our events, and there's a lot of collaboration there. I think there's a lot of collaboration going in. Talk to me about your process and talk to me about what that win means to you and your team.
It means a ton. I have the best sponsor in the world. Pam from RIW is just amazing. I love bringing trophies back to her, and I'm glad I have one to take home. As far as what it means to me, it means a lot. Played a lot of these energies this year. Had success at different types of events, a couple of team events. Shout out to my teammates then. It was a lot of fun. And then as far as my preparation goes, I worked with teammate Zach Allen to kind of build decks. Even though we didn't end up playing the same decks, our modern decks are pretty similar, just subtle differences. We landed somewhere different on Pioneer, but that's kind of one of those things where me and Zach have different comfort zones when it comes to certain formats. And I didn't. I thought black red was a better choice than blue white for what it's worth. But yeah, he was great for helping me prepare. Um, doing some testing while I was working, and also shout out to a couple of other friends, Max Smith and Steven Dykeman, for helping me test. But yeah, those guys helped me test. I did a lot of cube drafting over the holidays. I didn't want to think too much about the event, but I made sure to make a point to start testing about a couple weeks before this. So yeah.
All right. Well, it certainly paid off. All right. So you played just 2 fairly long days of Magic. Give us, and the viewers at home, give us a story that kind of like, aside from just winning, what's a game or an incident, some kind of interplay that happened that you'll kind of just look back on this and remember? Like, what stands out to you, a memory from this weekend?
Oh man, quite a few. If I had to choose one, I would say my first camera match with Will, where I kept a non-white mana hand on 7 in a really good matchup, and never drew a land for like the first 5 turns, but was able to just use pitch spells to kind of survive long enough to like squeak back into the game and then win the match. That was one of those things where it was just like there was a lot of maneuvering both games, especially game 1, and it felt very rewarding to pull it off. So.
Yeah, I think I saw a little bit of interaction on Twitter about that very game you're talking about. Multiple people calling it a masterclass on playing Control due to how well of a job you did navigating that game around some adversity. And, I think we talked about this a lot. You could put a lot of players in your seat with the exact same decks, the exact same matchup. You put 1,000 players in the same seat, none of them come away with the win but you. You picked, decks that play to your strengths. You were extremely patient all through the tournament. And, I think that was a big part of you being able to convert to a victory. Do you feel the same way? Do you feel playing decks that you felt very comfortable with is exactly where you wanted to be coming into this tournament?
Yeah, all that was really flattering. I appreciate those words. Yeah, it's important to me to play decks that are in my wheelhouse. I generally tend to favor fairy decks, and I've played a lot of this blue white deck over the past 2 years, basically since MH2 came out. I've been playing a lot of it. And then if I'm not playing a control deck, I love playing a Thoughtseizes deck. So both decks were definitely decks that I enjoy playing, decks that I try to leverage whatever it is I'm good at. I don't know what it is, but whatever works for me. Usually
Magic the Gathering.
Thanks. Whatever the things I've picked up over the years from playing the game, they usually fall in line with those kind of decks. So yeah, that was yeah.
What were did you have any expectations coming into the event? Obviously winning is tremendous, but we had you had the most votes among the commentary staff on who was going to win, take home the crown. You actually delivered on that. You can see here, Anurag Das, Dominic Harvey, and Julian Knab all chose you. So what were your kind of expectations coming in?
I appreciate the confidence. I didn't really have any. I just wanted to do Magic. I chose my Pioneer deck the day before, so some people know me for playing like Orzhov, which I played at the RC. I played Gruul a few times at like some energies, and I tested it on Moto a couple times. I wasn't really feeling good about either one of them, so I kind of just last minute no rep audible to Red Black, knowing that like I could probably figure out a fail push Thoughtseize deck.
You can't say stuff like that, because now people are watching and they'd be like, "Oh, I don't have to practice. I'll just pick up a deck and go win tournaments."
To be fair, if your name's Raja, that's probably true.
Well,
I've been playing Magic for 20 years now. So
okay.
When you hit the 20-year mark, you can pull stuff off like that.
You can do whatever you want.
All right.
I wouldn't recommend it. But no, I also had like great advice and like some people that I know that have played the deck or that know the deck well, even if they haven't played it as much, really chimed in, helped me map out a good sideboard plan. Kind of clean up some of the last few slots in the deck. Did some scouting for me. It was a team effort for sure. So yeah, it was. For as far as expectations go, no, because if you set your expectations too high, you'll just set yourself up for disappointment. So you just gotta do your best, and then if it works out, then it's awesome.
Well, your best was certainly good enough. Raja Sulaiman, 2022 NRG Series Championship winner. Congratulations to you. Impressive work.
Any final shout out you want to give? Congratulations again.
Thank you. Shout out once again to Pam Willoughby from Livonia, Michigan, RW Hobbies, best sponsor. Shout out to my family for being awesome to me, the best family anyone can ask for, my friends, my girlfriend Razan, everybody. So And shout out to you guys. I appreciate all the love. I appreciate the vote of confidence from the people that picked me for to win this event. That was really cool. So yeah, everybody shout out for NRG for setting this all up. It's a huge one. Sorry, I almost forgot that one. This is awesome. This entire series has been sweet. This tournament's been sweet. Everybody here has been so cool, so nice the whole time. It was a blessing to be here. No hyperbole. They're just amazing. So shout out to them for sure.
All right, Raja Sulaiman, thanks for talking with us. Go enjoy your celebratory dinner or whatever you've got lined up next.
Will do. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Well, Drake Sasser, that was quite an event.
Incredible.
Before everyone runs away, let's bring up the next NRG events one more time. If you enjoyed watching this, and you think I want to participate in this championship next year, how can I do that? How can I get started? Well, here are the first 3 events in March and June in Mundelein, Illinois, and in May in Indianapolis. Each of those Saturday main events auto qualifies the winner for the championship next year. Somewhat change in the qualification procedures, so you're aware of that. Meanwhile, back to us, Drake Sasser. I mean, we saw a lot of close games this afternoon.
We sure did. Incredible Magic. And this is why you do it, to be able to watch the really tight games, what Magic the Gathering as a game looks like when played for high stakes at the highest level, when people are trying their hardest. It's truly a special thing. And that's part of what makes competitive Magic so great. And, you know, Roger said it best. It's a blessing to be here. It's a blessing to be able to be a part of this entire operation. And definitely shout out to NRG, shout out to you and, you know, everybody involved in making this happen. There's so many. I'd be sitting here all night trying to rattle it off. And I think everybody's ready.
I'm ready to go. No,
okay.
So here, yeah,
you're
right.
Fire it off, Joe.
A lot of people go into making these shows work. Nerd Rage consists of a staff, many people contributing, putting this together to make it everyone for be able to play in it person and to watch at home. So I want to acknowledge Matt Pamonte, our producer and our host this weekend. Dakota Clark was the table spotter. Haviva Goodman monitoring the chat. We have a head judge, Joe Klopchik, assistant judge, Mark Mason, and tournament organizer, Landon Libby. We had a broadcast staff this weekend, probably the most we've ever had in one event. We had Anurag Das, Julian Knob, Becky Bell, Mason Clark, Dominic Harvey, Drake Sasser, myself, Joe Lissette. All of us represent Norman Cohen, the owner of Nerd Rage Gaming, and we thank you for watching this weekend. We'll see you in March.